Part 148. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 1472. Zhang Chen and the others rushed out the 100,000 tents to support the Wenchuan earthquake-stricken area, and then rushed out the delayed target goods, and shipped out the 8 most urgently needed containers. Only then could the entire factory breathe a sigh of relief, and time passed. It's already early June. Zhang Chen expected that Zhang Xiangbei would also go on summer vacation. At Christmas, Zhang Xiangbei did not come back. Xiaofang took advantage of the holiday to take him all over the east and west coasts of the United States, saying that he wanted to familiarize him with the United States. Zhang Xiangbei would definitely come back during the summer vacation, otherwise his grandma and grandma would definitely not agree. Zhang Chen called Xiaofang and asked her when Zhang Xiangbei would go on summer vacation. Xiaofang said it would be soon. Have the tickets been booked? Zhang Chen asked. What, brother-in-law, do you miss Zhang Xiangbei? Xiaofang asked. A bit, Zhang Chen said, mainly because his grandma and grandma missed him so much that I didn't dare to go home. Once I got back, they would nag me around. Xiaofang smiled. Xiaofang said, there are a lot of air tickets, so don't be nervous. Just buy them 1 or 2 days in advance. Zhang Chen said yes, and he then asked, how are you now? Looking at the domestic news, the United States is in darkness. Xiaofang smiled and said, they are all the same. The same is true for reports on China here in the United States. Out of 10 reports, only 1 is positive and 9 are negative. Anyway, they report worries but not good news. As Xiaofang said, Zhang Chen thought of what Harada Shino told him that China and Japan have deep misunderstandings. Isn't this the case not only with China and Japan, but also with China and the United States? The news media on both sides are not to blame for this misunderstanding. Xiaofang said, but brother-in-law, the current atmosphere on Wall Street is indeed very strange. What's wrong? Zhang Chen asked. There is an atmosphere of doomsday. Everyone is anxious and anxious. They all feel that something big is about to happen, but it is unclear what big thing and when it will happen. Xiaofang said, it is like a person who has been sentenced to death. Every day waiting there, no one told him when the execution would be carried out. That was too painful, Zhang Chen said. Xiaofang said yes, it is torture, so hell is not scary, purgatory is scary. Just the word lian can scare people to death. There is no hope in hell anyway, so you can feel at ease, but purgatory gives you an unreachable hope. Always ends in despair, and then the whole Wall Street seems to be in purgatory. Then be careful, Xiaofang, Zhang Chen said. I know, brother-in-law, Xiaofang said, anyway, compared with other companies, we may be considered one of the few who can enter heaven. Both hell, purgatory, and heaven are not good. It is best to be in the human world, Zhang Chen said with a smile. Okay, then we will stay in the human world, Xiaofang also smiled. Tonight, Lu Ligan had a social event, and Xiao Wu and Su Qiaxin were ordered to go on a date. Zhang Chen felt that there was nothing to do in the office alone, and it was too scary to eat alone, so he simply went home to have dinner. Zhang Chen returned home, and his mother came over immediately. Xiao Zhao's mother followed her. Zhang Chen's mother asked, Chen Chen, when will Bai Bei come back? Zhang Chen sat down on the sofa, looked at his mother and Xiao Zhao's mother and said, I called Xiaofang today. The 2 old people immediately cheered up. Xiao Zhao's mother quickly asked, what did Xiaofang say? She said it's soon, Zhang Chen said. Hey, I called her and she said the same thing. The 2 old people were discouraged and Xiao Zhao's mother said. Zhang Chen's mother muttered, it's coming, but there is no accurate date. When will there be an accurate date? Chen, what kind of shabby school is this in the United States? There is no accurate date for summer vacation. That's right, when Bai Bei was studying at Beokuta School, the school informed us clearly a month in advance of when summer vacation and winter vacation would take place. Xiao Zhao's mother also agreed and responded from the side. While they were talking, someone came in from the door. Xiao Zhao's mother took one look and exclaimed ah. Zhang Chen's mother looked at it and exclaimed ah. Ah. Zhang Chen was sitting there with his back to the door. He turned around and was stunned. He jumped up from the sofa like a reflex. Isn't it Zhang Xiangbei who came in from the door? Zhang Xiangbei was carrying a backpack and stood there smiling at them. Zhang Xiangbei was as tall as Zhang Chen, and he was also stronger. He was more mature than Zhang Chen had seen in the MSN video. There was actually a pimple on his chin. He has a stubble, but that's it. Zhang Xiangbei is still Zhang Xiangbei. Bai Bei, why are you back? Zhang Chen's mother shouted, and the two old men rushed up. One of them took Zhang Xiangbei's hand. Zhang Xiangbei called her grandma, and the two old men hurriedly responded. Zhang Xiangbei then called Zhang Chen daddy, and Zhang Chen nodded with a smile. Two land reclamation warriors heard the noise in the house and walked in from the backyard. Xiao Zhao's father still held a file in his hand, Lao Zhang had a pair of reading glasses on his nose, and he held a piece of versatile glue in his hand. He is using glue to glue his skyscraper together. The two land reclamation warriors also yelled when they saw Zhang Xiangbei. Zhang Xiangbei quickly called out to his grandfather and grandpa, and the two wasteland reclamation warriors left. Bai Bei, where is your Aunt Xiaofang? Zhang Chen's mother asked. Aunt Xiaofang has to go to work and is still in the United States, Zhang Xiangbei said. Everyone else in the room was shocked. Zhang Chen's mother shouted, then you came back from the United States alone? Zhang Xiangbei nodded and said yes. Are you returning to Hangzhou from Shanghai alone? Xiao Zhao's mother asked. Zhang Xiangbei is right. The two old men turned to Zhang Chen almost at the same time and looked at him with questioning eyes. Zhang Chen quickly said, don't look at me. I don't know if Zhang Xiangbei will come back today. I didn't let Aunt Xiaofang tell you, Zhang Xiangbei said, I checked the route back on the internet. When I arrived at Pudong Airport, there was a bus directly to the civil aviation ticket office here in Hangzhou, and I got off here. I walked back. The civil aviation ticket office in Hangzhou is on Stadium Road, about 300 to 400 meters away from Splendid Home. After hearing what Zhang Xiangbei said, Zhang Chen's mother complained that this child was too courageous. Lao Zhang said, yes, we at Bai Bei are capable. I'm just afraid of you, and there are a lot of people running to Shanghai Pudong Airport, Zhang Xiangbei said with some regret. It's very convenient to go back to Hangzhou from Shanghai. Fatty Sun told me that it only takes a little more than an hour by train. That's enough. I originally wanted to take the train from Pudong Airport to the South Railway Station, but Aunt Xiaofang refused, so I took the bus back directly from the airport. Bai Bei, where is your luggage? Xiao Zhao's mother asked. Zhang Xiangbei shook the backpack on his back and told her, Grandma, this is not it. You just came back from the United States with such a small bag. Zhang Chen's mother was also surprised and asked. Zhang Xiangbei smiled and said, Grandma, I am going home. How many things do I need to bring home? Is there anything I don't have at home? Zhang Chen's mother was stunned for a moment, then laughed. She said yes, Bai Bei was right, she had everything at home. Grandma, I have agreed with you first that when I go back to the United States, I will only carry this bag. It can't be like last time. I escaped by chance last time. This time I won't be so lucky. Zhang Xiangbei said, I am also stupid. I didn't understand anything at that time. If I get to the customs now, I will tremble. Everyone laughed, and Zhang Chen's mother said, okay, just listen to Bai Bei. The two old ladies gave up their seats to the two land reclamation warriors. The two land reclamation warriors held Zhang Xiangbei's hands one by one and laughed. Lao Zhang said, it only took 1 year to grow so tall and he is still like this. Chuang, Bai, what did you eat in the United States? Xiao Zhao's father said that he has a beard. It's all Aunt Xiaofang's fault, Zhang Xiangbei said. Zhang Chen asked, why do you blame Aunt Xiaofang? Aunt Xiaofang asked me to drink many cups of milk and steak every day. If I didn't eat it, she said, Zhang Xiangbei, if you don't grow taller and fatter, your father and I will have no way to explain it. Then she said, I can't tell your grandma, and I can't tell my grandpa and grandpa. I'm afraid she will move her mother out and have to eat. As Zhang Xiangbei said, everyone laughed. Zhang Xiangbei looked at Zhang Chen and said, Dad, I want to go and talk to my mother. Zhang Chen said yes, and Lao Zhang patted Zhang Xiangbei on the arm and said to him, yes, go and tell your mother. Zhang Xiangbei took off his backpack and placed it on the table. Zhang Chen put his arm around Zhang Xiangbei's shoulders and walked outside. Zhang Chen's mother called out, Bai, what do you want to eat tonight? Zhang Xiangbei shouted without looking back, braised pork and braised pomfret and bream. Zhang Chen and Zhang Xiangbei walked out and saw Xiang Nan coming back from a distance. She lowered her head and was thinking about something while walking. Zhang Xiangbei whispered to Zhang Chen, Dad, stand here. Zhang Chen stopped. Zhang Xiangbei walked towards Xiangnan alone. A year later, Xiangnan was already a tall and graceful little adult with swollen breasts. When Zhang Xiangbei walked towards her, she still lowered her head. Thinking about your own things. When Zhang Xiangbei saw this, he deliberately kept silent and continued walking, passing by Xiangnan. The two missed each other, and Xiangnan realized something. She stopped, turned around and looked around, stunned for a moment. Hey, Zhang Xiangbei. Zhang Xiangbei turned around and laughed, shouting, Sister. The two of them took a step forward, raised their hands to Xiangnan to hit Zhang Xiangbei, raised their hands in the air and then dropped them. The two of them then wanted to hug, but there was another panic. Before they hugged each other, their faces were already red. Everyone stood there at a loss, a little shy, and they all realized that they were no longer children. Zhang Chen walked towards them and looked at them with a smile. He felt that the scene could be painted. Finally, she extended her hand to Xiang Nan and said, Come on, Zhang Xiangbei. Zhang Xiangbei held her hand and cursed at Xiangnan, You damn thing, you are taller than your sister. Zhang Xiangbei laughed. The three of them walked to the building where Zhang Chen lived together. Zhang Chen walked in front, holding hands with Xiang Nan and Xiang North, and followed him. Thank you to user 0137-615-9840 for the reward of 2 fishes, 1 at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you to Sky 1015, Cup Guy API, Tai Zongshang, Tenguanga KTV, Hydrogen Oxide Disinfection Knowledge Bureau, Little Gatekeeper, Book Friends 120905202611001, Tamagotchi, and Zonkai 727 for your monthly passes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1473. When Zhang Chen and Xiang Nan Xiangbei returned to Zhang Chen's mother's place, Xiao Shu and Yao Fen also arrived. It was Xiao Zhao's mother who called them back. When Xiaoshu saw Zhang Xiangbei, he screamed. He stood up and made sure to compare his height with Zhang Xiangbei. The two stood upright, back to back, head to head. Everyone else looked at it and said, Zhang Xiangbei is still the same. It's a little bit higher in the north. Xiaoshu didn't believe it and shouted, Is it true? Lao Zhang said, Come on, let's go to the back and measure it. Everyone rushed to the workshed at the back. Lao Zhang asked Xiaoshu to stand against the wall, took off his shoes and stood there barefoot. Lao Zhang took a triangular ruler, put it up, put one side of the triangular ruler against the wall, slid it down, and pushed it against the top of the little tree, forming a right angle, and then let the little tree go away. Xiaoshu walked away, and Lao Zhang drew a line with a water pen at the bottom of the triangle ruler, with the words "little tree" written on the side. He asked Zhang Xiangbei to take off his shoes and stand in the same place, and used the same method to measure. Xiaoshu was discouraged after just one glance. He saw that Zhang Xiangbei's straight line was a little taller than himself, almost the same. About half a centimeter. Lao Zhang wrote the word Bai Bei next to this line. Yao Fen said, "Uncle, write the date again and measure Bai Bei again when they are about to leave." Lao Zhang added 080607 after the word Bai Bei, and also added 080607 after the word. "Let this serve as proof," Lao Zhang and Xiaoshu said. Everyone walked back together. Xiaoshu asked Zhang Xiangbei, "Bai Bei, who do you belong to?" "Monkey, what's wrong?" Zhang Xiangbei asked strangely. How could this uncle forget everything about himself? "No, you are not a monkey," Xiaoshu said seriously, "you are a bamboo shoot. That's why bamboo shoots grow so fast." Everyone laughed. It's dinner, Bai Bei, here are the braised pork and braised pomfret and bream you want. Come over and eat quickly." Zhang Chen's mother shouted. Xiang Nan was not convinced and shouted, "It's mine too." Zhang Chen's mother smiled, "Okay, we are from Nan'an too. You two are not the same. Even what you like to eat is the same." Xiao Zhao's mother said, "Bai Bei didn't come back today. There was braised pork and pomfret and bream in the evening, so I know Nan'an likes to eat them." Xiangnan giggled and said to Zhang Xiangbei, "Did you hear that? Zhang Xiangbei, you came back to take advantage of me." Zhang Xiangbei nodded and said, "Oh, I heard it." The day after Zhang Xiangbei came back, Xiao Wu suspended his scheduled date with Su Qiaxin and took Zhang Xiangbei to train in the training hall. Su Qiaxin followed them and handed them water and towels. "Hold a fan and fan yourself to the north for Zhang." Su Qiaxin asked Zhang Xiangbei, "Master, have you ever taught those Americans a lesson?" Su Qiaxin called Zhang Xiangbei master, which made Zhang Xiangbei laugh. Zhang Xiangbei said that he had never fought before, but he showed them Chinese kung fu and calmed them down. "No one dared to bully me in school." "Yes, well done, young master," Su Qiaxin said. Zhang Xiangbei looked at her and said with a smile, "Thank you, master." Xiao Wu quickly said, "Don't bark, Bai Bei." Su Qiaxin laughed and said, "Yes, this is a good name and I like it." She turned her head and saw Zhang Chen and Xiao Li walking in. She quickly said to Zhang Xiangbei, "Master, you call me?" Zhang Xiangbei said, "Yes, master wife." Zhang Chen and Xiao Li laughed when they heard it, and Xiao Wu blushed. Zhang Xiangbei stayed at home for 4 days. During dinner that day, Xiaoshu said that he was going to Wenchuan to visit. He told Zhang Chen that he wanted to feel the supernatural power and the fragility of life. Zhang Chen knew what he was talking about. He said yes, he should go and have a look. "If I were not here in Shanghai, the hotel would be renovated soon and I would have to get the design drawings out. I also wanted to take a look." Xiaoshu said that the main reason is that the disaster relief has now entered the normal track. Going at this time will not disturb the disaster relief. "I just want to go and sketch on the spot." Zhang Chen nodded. Zhang Xiangbei heard this from the side and wanted to go with Xiaoshu. He said that we were in the United States, and Aunt Xiaofang and others held a fundraiser in Times Square, and many people came to donate. At that time, I just want to visit Wenchuan when I return to China. Xiaoshu said, "Yes, you come with me. We will bring our sleeping bags and tents with us. When we arrive in Chongqing, 2 friends from Sichuan will go with us. One of them is a local from Wenchuan, and his home is in Yingxiu town." Zhang Chen's mother and Xiao Zhao's mother heard from the side and disagreed. They both said it was too dangerous. Zhang Chen told them that there was nothing dangerous. In history, there was no place where people could be killed in a short period of time. The same 2 major earthquakes occurred. The energy of these earthquakes also takes time to accumulate. Besides, why are you worried about following Xiaoshu? If Zhang Xiangbei sneaks away alone, then you only need to worry. The two old people, after hearing what Zhang Chen said, did not object or dare to object. Seeing how Zhang Xiangbei dared to secretly come back from the United States, with his temper, they felt that Zhang Chen was right. If they objection, it is really possible for Zhang Xiangbei to sneak away alone, and they can't tie him to the waistband of his pants. Instead of doing this, it is better to let him follow Xiaoshu. Xiang Nan pouted on the side and said, "Uncle Xiaoshu, why don't you go later? When I go on summer vacation, I can go with you." Xiaoshu said that the rescue speed is too fast now, we are worried that we will be late, and the disaster area has changed. Zhang Chen asked Xiaoshu, "How are you going?" Xiaoshu said, "I want to drive there, so that when I get there, it will be more convenient to go in. Otherwise, I'm afraid I won't even be able to find the transportation to get in." Zhang Chen thought for a moment and said, "Xiaoshu, let me exchange your car with your Uncle Tan tomorrow. His Mitsubishi off-road vehicle is convenient for walking on that road. Also, let Xiao Wu go with you. Otherwise, it would be too much for you to drive the long distance from here to Chongqing by yourself." "That's right, let Xiao Wu go with him. Xiao Wu will follow. We can rest assured," Zhang Chen's mother said. Xiaoshu said, "Yes, let brother Xiao go with us." The next day, Xiaoshu and Lao Tan changed cars. The three of them bought folding tents and sleeping bags downstairs in the dynamic zone. They also prepared a lot of water and food and put them in the car. Zhang Chen reminded them that they should also bring plastic buckets with them. When they arrive in Chongqing, they should prepare spare gasoline in the car before moving on. Lu Ligan got them a satellite phone from somewhere and asked them to take it with them. Lu Ligan told them that in some places, even communications may not have been restored. Zhang Chen told Xiao Wu, be careful on the road. Xiao Wu said, "Okay, don't worry, brother Chen." The three people drove the car and set off that day. Zhang Xiangbei followed Xiao and Xiaoshu. After dinner, Zhang Chen felt that he could calm down and design the Tuxianjiayuan Hotel on Huihei Middle Road in Shanghai. The house was delayed for more than a month and was handed over at the end of last month. "Give it to them." Huihuan is already impatient. She has prepared all the members of the preparatory team. Zhang Chen took out paints, paper, and pen from the cabinet and started to draw. Lu Ligan came in and poked his head around. He watched Zhang Chen draw for a while and felt bored. He stood up and walked to the window and looked at the opposite side. Splendid Jiangnan and the Jiangnan Canal, staring blankly. When he had nothing to do, he breathed on the window glass with his mouth, making the glass covered with morning mist, and then used his fingers to write something on the frosted glass. Unfortunately, it is summer, and the heat cannot escape much. When it reaches the glass, it quickly disappears, which makes Lu Ligan very discouraged. Zhang Chen turned around and looked at it, and said with a smile, "Are you so boring that you can't go and chat with your Kurihara Komaka?" "What Kurihara Komaka? This one is already Yamaguchi Momo. It really looks very similar." "Zhang Chen, do you want to take a look?" Lu Ligan asked. Zhang Chen said no, and saw Yamaguchi Momo, who was also in the urban-rural fringe area. "Okay, if I don't tell you, it's unreasonable for a person like you who has no sense of aesthetics at all. I'd better go and talk to my Yamaguchi Momo sayonara." Lu Ligan said and walked out and went back to his room to chat with his online friend Yamaguchi Momo. Zhang Chen looked at his back and laughed. Not long after Lu Ligan left, Su Qiaxin walked in again, probing his head. Zhang Chen asked, "Why are you so sneaky? Why don't you do anything?" "Can I just take a look, sir?" Su Qiaxin said. Zhang Chen looked at her and asked, "Is it because Xiao Wu's absence makes you uncomfortable?" Su Qiaxin giggled and said, "For a while, It seemed like I had nothing to do. Aren't you going to quarrel with your damn Jerry? Zhang Chen asked. You also said that the damn Jerry has gone somewhere in the past 2 days and has not been seen, Su Qiaxin said. As she spoke, she walked over, looked at the painting Zhang Chen was painting, and shouted, "Boss, this is our hotel in Shanghai. It's too beautiful. No, no, can you take me there when it opens?" Zhang Chen said yes, yes. Su Qiaxin smiled happily and said, "That's great. In the future, we will have a place to eat in Shanghai. If I pick up the guests at Pudong Airport, I don't have to go back to Hangzhou and go directly to Tuxianjiayuan on Huihai Road to eat." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Huihuan has the final say as to whether we can get this meal. She is the person in charge of the hotel." "No problem, Huihuan and I are old friends," Su Qiaxin said. "Thank you, Eternal Evergreen Emperor Yan, for the reward. Thank you for your monthly votes from Evergreen Yan Dadi, Yuingzi, Yuzazialiu, Tianying 1978, The Snake That Bites the Farmer, Fantasy in the Wind, and Book Friends 2020091116010970. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening, everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1474. For several days, Lao Ni did not show up in the chat room. Ren Rongrong opened the small window and left a series of symbols for him. Lao Ni also ignored her, which made Ren Rongrong worried. Ren Rongrong knew that this time Tianjiao 0805 had beaten Lao Ni painfully, but not enough to knock him down. If Lao Ni becomes low-key from now on and no longer appears in the chat room, or because his performance is so bad this time, his self-esteem cannot stand it, and he feels embarrassed to deal with Mao Xiaomao and the others again, then in such a big futures market, so many futures among the varieties, it would be difficult for me to find him. You must know that the last time Ren Rongrong found Lao Ni, it took almost 2 years. What Ren Rongrong is most worried about is that this time he not only hurt Lao Ni, but also scared him. He will never do futures again. If that happens, he will have no way to deal with Lao Ni, not in the financial market. But in the real shopping mall, if he had to fight with Lao Ni, that old turtle, he would not be his opponent at all. After thinking about it, Ren Rongrong felt that it was not in line with Lao Ni's character to stop doing futures trading. No matter what Lao Ni did, it was just like him chasing women. He would never give up until he achieved his goal, let alone wipe his face like this, swallow his anger and walk away. It was because of his pride that he felt that he had lost too ugly in this battle and was worthy of the title of king. He would no longer appear in front of everyone, most likely until he achieved glory in a certain battle and could wash away his shame. Lao Ni will come back proudly. Ren Rongrong was in a state of confusion. She stared at the computer screen. Without Lao Ni's chat room, it was much quieter. Many people no longer chatted about futures, but chatted all over the world. Someone also discovered the same problem and asked in the chat room, "Where is the king? Why haven't you seen the king in the past few days?" Someone immediately said below, "What kind of king?" "The king who was beaten until his teeth were everywhere." Ren Rongrong was shocked. If Lao Ni saw this, he would be even more embarrassed to show up in the chat room. When Ren Rongrong saw that the person who left this message was one of his subordinates, Ren Rongrong quickly called him over and cursed him, asking him to delete his message immediately. "None of you should provoke him for me. If he comes in, you will continue to support him as usual. Do you all know that?" Ren Rongrong told her subordinates, and they all said they understood. Ren Rongrong returned to her office and sat down. She glanced at the computer screen and her eyes lit up. She saw Lao Ni opening the small window to greet her. Lao Ni and Mao Xiaomao said, "Can you still fight?" Haha, it seems that Lao Ni is still reluctant to let go of himself. Ren Rongrong thought about it for a moment and understood. She knew that Lao Ni was not reluctant to let go of her, but he was reluctant to let go of such a huge amount of money behind him. When the two armies faced each other on the battlefield, she was a key ally and might be able to make the decision. The key factor in winning or losing. Ren Rongrong didn't reply immediately. She couldn't let Lao Ni see it. She seemed to be staring at the computer screen all the time, looking for him and waiting for him. 10 minutes later, Ren Rongrong replied with an ambiguous message, "The pressure is over." The first 2 days were really difficult, but now everything is settled. What Ren Rongrong meant was that with such a huge loss, of course the customers would have objections, but it was all settled now. Lao Ni smiled, and in turn enlightened Ren Rongrong, saying that victory or defeat is a common matter for military strategists. Ren Rongrong said, "Yes, I told my clients the same thing, where can there be any ever victorious general? Lin Bi, the ever victorious general you think of, was chased away like a rabbit by Sun Laren in the northeast." Haha, Lao Ni laughed again and said, "Let's move on to PDA. I am familiar with PDA. In order to win over Mao Xiaomao, Lao Ni almost told him that because I was one of the largest PDA users in the country, I could even influence the spot market." Lao Ni thought for a while but didn't say anything. Ren Rongrong agreed, and she said, "Of course I will follow the king and earn back what I lost. By the way, king, do you have MSN? If so, I will add you so that we can make contact more convenient." "No," Lao Ni said, "I have QQ." "Then can I add you on QQ?" Ren Rongrong asked. Lao Ni didn't answer whether it was okay, but directly sent a QQ number. Ren Rongrong said, "Okay, I'll add you right away." "Your Majesty, my QQ name is also Mao Xiaomao. By the way, my real name is Mao Xiaomao." Ren Rongrong added Lao Ni's QQ, and Lao Ni's account was approved immediately. Ren Rongrong stared at QQ on the computer and couldn't help laughing. He was saying in his heart, "Let's see where you run away. You are very familiar with PDA. Okay, I know you are very familiar with it, so I will let you die. On PDA, you will not only be familiar with it, but also remember it deeply and unforgettable." Ren Rongrong looked at her watch. She stood up and walked to the conference room to attend their weekly meeting. It was almost time. At the regular meeting, Lu Yun and the managers of their various departments said that there is a lot of turmoil on Wall Street right now, and major events will happen at any time. All departments must be careful. The trend of the weakening of the US dollar will not change, and we will continue to short the US dollar. Domestic A shares have not yet bottomed out. Unfortunately, there is no margin trading mechanism in China, and there is no way to short sell directly. My opinion is to withdraw all A shares first, wait until the bottom is reached, and then enter the market. On the one hand, we can short the FTSE China of 50 in Singapore. Lu Yun and Ren Rongrong said that your futures department should pay special attention to the fact that all commodities have the risk of plummeting, including crude oil and gold. Going long in any variety is questionable. Tianjiao 0805 just caught the opponent. A short-selling behavior cannot become the norm. In the next period of time, short selling will still be the main focus. Ren Rongrong nodded and said yes. Xiao, Xiaoshu and Zhang Xiangbei went to Wenchuan for more than half a month and returned to Hangzhou. It was evening when they returned to Hangzhou. Zhang Chen, Lu Ligan and Yao Fen were waiting for them in Zhang Chen's office. When they arrived, they went to Tuxianjiayuan to have dinner together. When the three people saw them, none of them had the joy of seeing them again after a long separation. Their expressions were dull and taciturn. Zhang Chen thought they were tired. When he asked them, they all said they were not tired. When it was time to eat, The three of them ate very little. They sat there, thinking thoughtfully every time they picked up their chopsticks, as if they had to think carefully before taking their chopsticks. Zhang Chen gradually understood that they were not tired, but they had seen a lot of things that Zhang Chen and the others could not see, things that people living in a city where singing and dancing were prosperous and the parents were short-lived could not possibly see. Yao Fen called Zhang Chen and told him that after returning from Wenchuan, Xiaoshu rarely talked. He went to the studio very early every morning and came home late at night. He wanted to visit his studio, but he wouldn't let him go. Zhang Chen and Yao Fen said that Xiaoshu needs a process. Yao Fen said, I know, I have to wait for him to release all the suppressed things in his heart through the brush. Zhang Chen is right. He felt that Xiaoshu's current state was very similar to that of Xiao's death. He needed to find a gate to express his inner emotions. Zhang Xiangbei and Zhang Chen said that in Wenchuan, my uncle cried. When we got there, 3 people crowded into one tent, and there were 2 tents, which were given away. My uncle was in the tent at night, and he would cry when he lay there. Cry secretly. Did you cry? Zhang Chen asked. Yes, Zhang Xiangbei said, it was so tragic. As soon as I saw that scene, I burst into tears. Zhang Chen asked Xiaowu, how did it feel to go to Wenchuan this time? Xiaowu looked at him blankly, speechless. 2 days later, Zhang Chen asked again and Xiaowu could speak. He said, I'm too timid. What? I said I have become timid. Seeing those scenes, I feel like I have become timid, Xiaowu said. Why? That's right, that's right. Xiaowu thought hard, looking for the right words. Xiaowu said, it's that scene that makes you feel that you are nothing. Compared with the power of the earthquake, people are nothing. Only half of the mountain looked like it had been chopped off by an axe. Those houses didn't just fall down, but were twisted into twists and then shattered. The foundation under the house bulges or cracks such a big hole. Not only the house is distorted, but the foundation and the mountain are also distorted. Who can do it? The Japanese devil's 3 guang policy cannot do it. A bomb can't explode like this. The ground is like a piece of paper. It can be crumpled into a ball or torn apart like paper. Those roads and bridges were broken into sections, and they were buried by mudslides that fell from the mountains. The trees have grown up to the bridges. It seems like it took decades. Those trees and grass seem to have been growing there for a long time. Who knew they just moved here 20 or 30 days ago? Zhang Chen nodded and understood. More than a week later, Xiaoshu called Zhang Chen. On the phone, she weakly said to him, brother-in-law, do you want to see my paintings? Zhang Chen said yes, I will come right away. Zhang Chen arrived in Gome and went to Xiaoshu's studio. Yao Fen opened the door for him. He saw Xiaoshu slumped in an armchair as if he was exhausted. Opposite him was a row of 1.89 meters high and 1.89 meters long. A triptych measuring over 6 meters. Zhang Chen was startled. He asked Xiaoshu, you painted such a big painting in more than a week? The corner of Xiaoshu's mouth twitched and he forced out a smile. Zhang Chen stood behind Xiaoshu and looked at the painting. His eyes immediately became moist. There are no people in this painting. It is a landscape painting of the entire Wenchuan, but it is clearly filled with people. The mountains, rivers, sky, and ruins all seem to be like a person, with tears in his eyes, but he is about to cry. The mountains and rivers are really full of tears, speechless and choked. If in Corot's landscape paintings, you can see the wind flowing on the painting, in Pissarro's Paris snow scene paintings, you can smell the fresh air on the screen. In this painting of Xiaoshu, everything is solidified, time and space are solidified, the trees do not move, the clouds do not move, the water does not flow, everything becomes very heavy, weighing heavily on people's hearts. Xiaoshu used the heart that painted sister to paint Wenchuan. Sadness will make people forget about themselves. For the first time, Zhang Chen felt that the blue sky and the green trees could be as dull and gloomy as black. Thank you book friend 202009111601099750, Dal Tin Soldier, flipping through books every day, ranking third from top to bottom, and rewarding 2 fishes at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you Tai Zhongshang, Lao Zi, book friends 854-824, Fantasy in the Wind, Why Can't I Change My Name, book friends 2019010420175831, and the monthly pass of Tampai. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1475. After Zhang Xiangbei came back from Wenchuan, he still trained with Xiao Wu every day. Even Sun Xiangyang also came to train. Every evening, they had a half-full meal in Zhang Chen's office, and then went to the badminton hall in front and walked around a few blocks. After running around the badminton court for a few times, Zhang Xiangbei teased Coach Lu Jun when he saw him, causing Lu Jun to chase Zhang Xiangbei with a badminton racket. In the end, Zhang Xiangbei was slapped on the buttocks and begged for mercy. After activities in the badminton hall, they returned to the training hall and started training. When they were training, Zhang Chen would be in the office, chatting with Lu Ligan, or going to the e-commerce department and Su Qiaxin and his foreign trade company. These few people were still working overtime and had a look. When they finished training, Zhang Xiangbei and Sun Xiangyang were both starving to death, so Zhang Chen took them to have a good meal. Normally, Lu Ligan, Xiao Wu, and Su Qiaxin would go together. When Lu Ligan saw Su Qiaxin, he scolded him, "Why are you following me?" Su Qiaxin said she was shameless. She told Zhang Chen, "Boss, I found that the biggest advantage of being in love with Xiao Wu is that we have more opportunities to eat and drink." Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan laughed, and Lu Ligan said, "Eat and drink, I will make you a fat woman." Su Qiaxin said, "That doesn't matter, as long as Xiao Wu doesn't dislike it." After saying that, Su Qiaxin asked Xiao Wu, "Hey, do you dislike me?" Xiao Wu ignored her and turned away. Su Qiaxin turned Xiao Wu's face towards her with both hands and insisted on asking for explanation. Even Zhang Xiangbei and Sun Xiangyang laughed together. Xiao Wu's face turned red. Su Qiaxin laughed and said, "Haha, did you see it? My face is red. I don't mind blushing." Letting go of Xiao Wu, Su Qiaxin continued to talk to Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan, "I like to see Xiao Wu blush the most. He is dozens of years old, and he is still the same as Zhang Xiangbei and this fat man." Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan laughed so hard that they couldn't stand upright. Sun Xiangyang shouted, "No way, I never blush, I am the most shameless." "Hey, is it true? You don't blush when you're with a girl," Su Qiaxin said. "You're so awesome, then I'll give you a hug." Sun Xianjiang's face turned red instantly, and everyone laughed. Lu Ligan looked at Su Qiaxin and kept nodding. Su Qiaxin asked, "Mr. Lu, what are you doing like a chicken pecking at rice?" "That's great. I'm complimenting you." Lu Ligan turned around and said to Zhang Chen, "Do you think Xiao Wu wants such a heartless person to deal with him?" Zhang Chen smiled and said, "I think it's good too." Su Qiaxin shouted, "Who said I have no heart and no lungs? How can I fall in love if I have no heart? How can I breathe and sing if I have no lungs? I can sing a coloratura soprano and climb dozens of steps alone." Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan just stopped laughing and started laughing again. After finishing the supper and getting ready to leave, Zhang Xiangbei made sure to pick 1 or 2 more dishes and told Zhang Chen that if his sister liked it, fry another one and we would pack it back. Zhang Chen said that his sister had already gone to bed. Zhang Xiangbei said that he would get up to eat even when he was sleeping. "If I didn't bring it to her, I would be beaten to death by her." Zhang Chen called the boss over and asked him to fry another portion and package it as Zhang Xiangbei said. When Xiang Nan is on summer vacation, she will take the bus with Zhang Xiangbei and the others in the evening. After eating at Zhang Chen's place, Zhang Xiangbei goes to train, and Xiang Nan sits on the conference table in Zhang Chen's office. Review or do homework, wait until they are finished, and then go have supper together. Often, after dinner at home, Tan Shuhen would come over to see what Xiang Nan was doing and chat with Zhang Chen. The director who often approached Xiang Nan to perform wanted to invite Xiang Nan to film a TV series this year, but Tan Shuhen turned it down without hesitation. She said that Xiang Nan was in her senior year of high school at the beginning of the school year and had entered a critical period. This was her last summer vacation. I don't dare to be careless. Zhang Chen smiled and said, Tan Shuhen, in your mouth, any time is a critical period. Tan Shuhen retorted, Zhang Chen, are you saying this because your back hurts when you stand and speak? Bei does not need to go through thousands of troops to cross the single plank bridge. Zhang Chen scolded, Tan Shuhen, I asked you to send Xiang Nan out at the beginning, but you refused, so you are willing to endure this hardship. That's right, Xiang Nan said from the other side of the conference table. Tan Shuhen looked at her and cursed, do your homework and stay out of other people's business. Xiang Nan's nose turned up and he made a face at Tan Shuhen. On this day, Xiang Nan let Zhang Xiangbei and son Xiang Yang and came very early. Zhang Chen was still wondering why they were so early today. Xiang Nan and Zhang Xiangbei said, Zhang Xiangbei, you take the fat man down there to play, I have something to tell my uncle. What's going on? Zhang Xiangbei asked. It's not something you should know, hurry up and leave, Xiang Nan said with a straight face. Zhang Xiangbei said okay and led son Xiang Yang out. Zhang Chen felt even more strange. What else did Xiang Nan have to say to him in such a serious manner? Xiang Nan walked over and sat down on the chair opposite Zhang Chen's desk. Zhang Chen looked at her and asked, Xiang Nan, do you have anything important to tell me? Xiang Nan nodded, Uncle, I'm here to beg you. Please, what's so serious? Zhang Chen was confused. It's very serious, Xiang Nan looked at Zhang Chen and said seriously. Zhang Chen smiled and said, you just say whatever you need, if you need Uncle's help, Uncle will definitely help you. Xiang Nan hesitated for a moment, swallowed again, and said to Zhang Chen, Uncle, I don't want to take the college entrance examination. Ah, Zhang Chen was shocked, why? No, it's not that I won't take the college entrance examination. I don't want to take that kind of college entrance examination. I want to be like Uncle Xiaoshu, Xiang Nan explained quickly. Zhang Chen understood and asked, do you want to take the art exam? Xiang Nan nodded. What do you want to take the exam? Zhang Chen asked. Before Xiang Nan could say anything, he understood. He said, do you want to take the exams of Beijing Film Academy and Shanghai Theatre Academy? Xiang Nan said yes, to take these exams. Starting from next semester, I will start preparing and take language and physical training classes, but my mother signed me up for those kinds of training classes. Xiang Nan, Uncle really hasn't thought about it, but when you say it, I also think that this is an option. Besides, don't you still have the foundation for acting? Zhang Chen said this, and he really felt this way. He felt that Xiangnan was very good, both in terms of appearance and her understanding of acting. If she really wanted to take the Beijing Film Academy exam or go to the theater, she might be really good. S choice. When Xiang Nan heard what Zhang Chen said, his eyes immediately became vivid, feeling that there was hope for this matter. Zhang Chen asked, Xiang Nan, tell your uncle that you really like making movies or TV series. I really like it. As soon as I arrived on the set, I felt like a different person, Xiang Nan said. Have you told your mother about this? Zhang Chen asked. No, Xiang Nan immediately shook his head. If I told my mother, she would definitely not agree, so. So you came to ask uncle to tell your mother, right? Zhang Chen asked. Xiang Nan nodded and said, "Uncle, if you are the only one who speaks, my mother will listen. If others say it, it will be useless. Uncle, can you help me?" Zhang Chen said, "Yes, as long as you really like performing, your uncle will help you talk to your mother." When Xiang Nan heard this, he quickly stood up, bowed to Zhang Chen and said, "Thank you, uncle. You go and play, I'll call your mother," Zhang Chen said. "Okay, uncle, then I'm going to find Zhang Xiangbei," Xiangnan said, stood up and walked out. Zhang Chen picked up the phone on his desk, called Tan Shahen's office, and asked her if she had any entertainment tonight. "Why do you ask this?" Tan Shahen said, "You didn't invite me." "Okay, I just want to invite you. I have something to tell you," Zhang Chen said. "Don't be ridiculous, why bother? Just call me if you need anything." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "This matter can't be explained clearly in 1 or 2 sentences. It must be discussed in person." "Okay then, let's go to the friendly hotel upstairs to eat Japanese food," Tan Shahen said. "No, those who eat raw meat and drink blood, primitive people eat Japanese food," Zhang Chen said, "change the place." "Hey, Zhang Chen, if you invite me to dinner, I am the guest. My guest doesn't even have the right to choose what to eat," Tan Shahen shouted. Okay, Japanese food is Japanese food, it's really verbose." "You're the one who's verbose," Tan Shahen said with a smile, "then I'll make a reservation. I'll send you a text message after I've made the reservation." Zhang Chen said yes. After putting down the phone, Zhang Chen called Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu came over. Zhang Chen told him that I would go out for a while during dinner. You would take Xiang Nan to North and have dinner with the little fat man. Xiao Wu said yes. At 6:30, Zhang Chen arrived at the upstairs box of the friendly hotel. He opened the curtain and went in. Tan Shahen was already sitting inside, and even the dishes were ordered. Seeing Zhang Chen come in, Tan Shahen quickly greeted him and said, "Quick, Zhang Chen, come and try this. It was just flown over today. It's very fresh." Zhang Chen sat down and took a look. What Tan Shahen wanted him to try was sea urchin. She and Xiao Zhao came here before, and Xiao Zhao also liked sea urchin the most, which made Zhang Chen very distressed. Zhang Chen asked knowingly, "What is this?" "It's fluffy, like a chestnut shell. Sea urchin is quite delicious. You will definitely not be able to put it down after trying it," Tan Shahen said. Zhang Chen shook his head, "No, it's disgusting to look at. Whether you like it or not, it's all mine." Tan Shahen rolled her eyes at him. "You want to eat this too?" Zhang Chen said with a smile, "It's a yellow mess inside, like chicken feces." Tan Shahen glared at him and cursed, "Zhang Chen, you said you can't live up to your standards." Zhang Chen quickly pointed to the tuna and sushi, and said to Tan Shahen, "I can still eat some of this, and this little rice dumpling." Tan Shahen laughed, and after she finished laughing, she said to Zhang Chen, "Before you eat the rice dumplings, tell me what you want to do with me. It's so mysterious that it makes me feel itchy." "It's about Xiangnan," Zhang Chen said. "What happened to Xiang Nan?" Tan Shahen was surprised. "What will happen to Xiang Nan?" "Of course there is, and it's a big deal," Zhang Chen said. "Thank you for the tip that I didn't even know anyone asked. Thank you, Mr. Mianzi, I am a potential stock fat guy for your monthly ticket. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1476. The box is very small, and the furnishings inside are also very simple. It is just a table and 4 chairs. Other than that, there is nothing else. The light on the top is a rectangular lantern with a wooden light stand and tissue paper around it, which makes the light in the box distinguish between light and dark. Here on the table under the lamp, where the light shines directly, it is bright. Further outside, where the light does not shine directly, the light suddenly becomes darker. A lamp puts the entire box in an ambiguous state of semi-darkness. The partitions of the box are also made of wooden squares, with tissue paper on both sides. The door leading to the outside has a door frame but no door. Instead, there is a thin canvas curtain hung with ukiyo-e patterns printed on it. This curtain does not cover the entire door. The upper 20 or 30 centimeters are empty, and the lower 60 or 70 centimeters are also empty. What it blocks is only the sight of people inside and outside. The sound insulation effect of such a box is very poor. You can hear the sound of the box next door and the sound of the passage outside. However, people who enter here seem to quickly adapt to and recognize such an environment. Everyone is very natural. If you don't speak well, you will lower your voice and speak in a lowered voice. You could hear the buzzing and muffled sounds next door, but you couldn't make out what they were saying. Everyone seemed to have candy in their mouths as they talked. Zhang Chen likes this kind of design very much. He admires the simple style of the Japanese. They never seem to be luxurious or ostentatious. They just lower their heads and silently make things exquisite, exquisite to the extreme. Zhang Chen feels that Muji is the representative of this design style. Whether they are clothing, furniture, stationery, or daily groceries, their designs are very rustic and extremely simple, but you can see their careful thinking everywhere. The simplicity is outstanding. Texture, simplicity is not vulgarity, but there are too many ingenuities. This is probably because Japan is an island country and its ancestors were fishermen. When Zhang Chen was a child, the riverside in Yongcheng was densely packed with bamboo-covered boats. These boats were not the small black-covered boats, but large ships used to load cargo. Yongcheng was located on the Fukun River and Xianan River, and the Sanjiangkou of the Lanjiang River. These boats can go up the Xianan River to Tungzi in Anhui, and go up the Lanjiang to Langzi in Jinhua. Going down, along the Fukun River, you can reach the Qiantang River and enter Hangzhou. But when Zhang Chen was a child, the Xianan River hydropower station was built above, which cut off the waterway to Anhui. Down below, the Fukun River hydropower station was built, which also cut off the waterway to Hangzhou. Waterways, especially those to Hangzhou after the city's waterway was cut off, these boats were still densely parked on the riverside outside Yongcheng town, but their livelihood was gone. These boat people were forced to go ashore to work as workers in factories and porters at moving stations. However, they had lived on the water for generations and had no land or homes on the shore. So they left early and came back late. They went to work in the town during the day and stayed with their families at night. People still live on boats, and the function of boats has degenerated into homes. Later, some people began to go ashore and built a large number of shacks along the riverside without permission, using bamboo strips and bamboo leaves used as boat canopies. There were too many people building them indiscriminately, and the local government was helpless. It was not until the 1980s that the government built a new village for boat people and moved them into buildings. These shacks and boats began to disappear from the riverbanks and rivers. Now, there is no longer a boat to be seen on the riverside in Yongcheng. There is a special shipping primary school in Yongcheng town. Many of the descendants of these boat people came to primary school after they were 12 or 13 years old and their families no longer ran boats. After settling down in Yongcheng, they were merged into the town when they reached junior high school. When Zhang Chen was in junior high school, the row behind them in the class were all descendants of the boat people who were tall and big, 4 or 5 years older than them. Zhang Chen followed them to their family's boat. The front 2/3 of the boat was empty and used for loading. There was a bamboo canopy that could move forward and backward. He walked along the side of the boat to the stern. There was a cabin there, with 4 or 5 square meter in size. This is where their family of 5 or 6 people live their daily lives. There is nothing in the cabin except a low cabinet and a low table. It is as simple as a muji. but the entire cabin is very neat, and every corner and every cabin board is scrubbed until it shines. At night, the cabin board is taken away, and the family's bedding is placed under the cabin board. The place where they eat, do needlework and do homework during the day, and where the girls comb their hair and dress up, becomes the place for the whole family. Bedroom. The space of the cabin cannot accommodate any debris. This simplicity is in huge contrast with the chaos and jars piled up in the homes of residents on the shore. For a while, Zhang Chen even wanted to live in such a cabin at night. It was only when his classmates told him that he would sleep at their house and huddle with his sister at night, and his sister still farted in the middle of the night, that Zhang Chen gave up. Zhang Chen told Tan Shehen about Xiang Nan. When Tan Shehen heard this, she became furious and glared at her. She couldn't shout loudly, so she could only lower her voice and say, "Zhang Chen, that's enough." "What's enough?" Zhang Chen asked. "Don't worry about Nanan's affairs," Tan Shehen said. "Why don't you take care of it?" "I just decided to take care of it," Zhang Chen said. Tan Shehen still glared at her. Zhang Chen said with a smile, "That's reasonable, don't glare at me. I've seen enough of those eyes of yours. If you stare at her again, I won't think it's that good looking." Tan Shehen couldn't hold herself any longer, burst into laughter, and cursed, you. "I still won't go," Zhang Chen said. "As I said, it makes sense. I think it would be good for Xiangnan to take the Beijing Film Academy exam or go to the theater. The most important thing is that she likes it. She is a child, what does she know?" Tan Shehen said. "Look, the fox's tail is exposed." "What do you mean she is a child?" "Standing up to Xiang Nan, she is already taller than you. Also, children today don't understand anything. Don't look at them the same way you did when you were your age. If Xiangnan didn't have her own opinion, she wouldn't have made such a decision. Humph, she has her own opinion. She has the ability to come to you to intercede for her. She knows." Tan Shehen said and stopped talking. "Go on, what does she know?" Zhang Chen asked. "She knew there was nothing I could do about your playful smile," Tan Shehen said. "Then do you have any idea?" Zhang Chen paused and continued, "It's not just that. The main thing is that Xiangnan grew up with Zhang Xiangbei. Over the years, I have looked at her just like my own daughter. I promise, it's not you agree casually, but you will consider it from her perspective. She is not as arrogant as you. She likes to make movies and TV shows, and given this condition, why don't you let her go?" "Tan Shehen, you can't deny that Xiang Nan's acting skills and understanding of roles are no worse than yours, right?" "What's the use?" Zhang Chen Tan Shehen sighed, "I have been acting for so many years, but in the end I am not here to do this. I have to learn everything from scratch. I just don't want Nan to make the same mistake I did." "After all, it's still selfish," Zhang Chen said. "Am I selfish?" Tan Shehen opened her eyes wide. "What should I do, not for Nan's good?" "Zhang Chen, what are you talking about? Lao Tan thought that whatever he did was for your own good, why didn't you listen to him?" Zhang Chen asked. "You." Tan Shehen looked at Zhang Chen and was speechless. "What am I? It would be great if you listened to Lao Tan. You must still be in the regiment now. You are Xiang. No, not Xiang. You should be Suji and Mei. Find a small official, get married, and have children. Then live a peaceful life as a small official in Yongcheng. Lao Tan will think that he is well matched, right? Tan Shehen, there will probably be many small officials who like you." "Get out," Tan Shehen cursed. Zhang Chen smiled and said, "You keep saying it's for Xiang Nan's good, but in fact, it's not all from your point of view. When did you think about it from Xiang Nan's point of view? What's the difference between you and Lao Tan? Don't look at me, no matter how you look at me, there is no difference between you and Lao Tan, You are just a 1,000-year-old daughter-in-law who has become a mother-in-law, and you can use it against Xiang Nan the same way Lao Tan did to you back then. You don't understand, how can this be the same? Tan Shahen was unconvinced. I don't understand. What's different about this? Zhang Chen said. You think it's not good to be an actor, so what's better? Is it good to be in real estate? Why don't you just let Xiang Nan go to school now? Now, let's follow Ying Ying to sell a house. What kind of college diploma is needed to sell a house? Ying Ying hasn't gone to college, so her house can still be sold well. Zhang Chen, do you think you've gone too far? Tan Shahen put down the chopsticks in her hands and leaned back on the chair. When she leaned back like this, the person was divided into two parts. The top of her neck was in the dim light, and the bottom of her neck was in the bright light directly above her head. Zhang Chen looked at it and suddenly laughed. Tan Shahen was surprised. She asked, "Why are you laughing?" "No, I always felt that the light and the whole atmosphere of this place were a bit ambiguous, but now I think about it." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Do you think this place is particularly suitable for sex?" Tan Shahen looked straight at Zhang Chen, looked at it for 3 seconds, and then laughed. Really, she had been to this place with President Mao, she had been with Lu Ligan, and she was here again with Zhang Chen today. She felt that it was a bit strange when Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan were sitting across from each other. When Zhang Chen said it, she remembered that it was really only President Mao who had ulterior motives, so sitting here was the most appropriate place. This environment is both secretive and open, which makes it very suitable for people who are flirtatious. People who are flirtatious will try their best to hide it on the surface, for fear that others will know, but they also have an urge to let others know in their hearts, especially men. Yes, when drinking with friends, as soon as you start bragging, after a few words, you can't help but show off your hidden secrets. Tan Shahen lowered her voice and laughed. Really, what about Zhang Chen, are we coming? Zhang Chen laughed loudly. What are we here for? Can we steal if we are interested? Let's get down to business. Tan Shahen, if you don't agree to Xiangnan to go to film school, maybe you will bury a talent. This is still a big deal. What about the heavy ones? Tan Shahen asked. If you bury an enemy, Xiangnan will hate you forever, Zhang Chen said. Tan Shahen was excited, as if she was touched by electricity. She knew that although Xiangnan was young, she was no less stubborn than herself. If she refused to let her take the art exam, she would hate herself for the rest of her life. She might have spoken too harshly, but there is definitely a gap between women, and this gap is no less severe than between herself and Lao Tan. Tan Shahen said, Zhang Chen, Xiangnan is not sensible, and you don't understand either? Do you think that the film school is so easy to pass the exam? To be honest, I am worried that I will not pass the art exam and the serious college entrance examination will be delayed. Well, the next year is really crucial for Xiangnan. If she works hard, it is still possible for her to go to a prestigious university. That art exam. Isn't it just 1 year? You always have to give her a chance to try. I think Xiangnan can pass the exam. Even if she doesn't, that's her own choice. The next big deal is to let her review for 1 year and then the next year. She tried to take the exams for other universities, and she was heartbroken. When reviewing, she would be more efficient. Otherwise, she is already interested in taking the art exam. If you don't let her take the exam, do you think she can study with peace of mind and attend the tutoring classes you arranged for her? Tan Shahen was silent. After a long time, she said to Zhang Chen with a sad face, Zhang Chen, I just can't understand why Nan Nan has such thoughts. It's normal for Xiang Nan to have such thoughts. She has been filming in the past few years. I think she has considered it in her own mind. She has such thoughts. It should be said that she is better than those who have never even been to the set. A girl is much more reliable. She knows that being an actor involves not only flowers and applause, but also sweat and tears. She is not living up to some groundless fantasy. As Zhang Chen spoke, Tan Shahen also felt a little relieved. She rubbed her face with her hands and said to Zhang Chen, "So, should I agree?" "I think so," Zhang Chen said. "Also, the art exam is in March. If Xiangnan fails, I think there is still another way to go." "What way?" Tan Shahen asked. "When Xiangnan goes to the United States, as long as she makes up her mind to take the art test, Xiangnan's study pressure will be gone. With her grades and the few cultural points in the art test, she can take them casually. Xiangnan's English is already good. While giving her language and physical training, let her go to Awan to learn English and pass the IELTS. Then she will have one more choice, either going abroad or continuing to review." Okay, I agree." Tan Shahen sighed and said, "This Nanan knows that I can't do anything to you, so I want to beg you." "Yes, this just shows how mature Xiangnan is," Zhang Chen said with a smile. Tan Shahen looked at Zhang Chen and suddenly laughed. She said, "Zhang Chen, I also thought of a way out." "What's the way out?" Zhang Chen asked. "If Nanan can't get into any school, we will depend on your family. When the time comes, it doesn't matter whether your Bai graduated from Harvard or Yale, we Nanan will depend on him." Tan Shahen laughed after saying this, and Zhang Chen also laughed and said, "Okay, whoever is afraid of whom." "Thank you, ninth brother Harry, for the reward of 2 fishes, 1 up and 1 down, at around 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you for your monthly votes from Snake That Bit the Farmer, Kulvwixing, and How, Tiening 1978, Zixi Shiyo 201701191722579990, Yuingzi, Shiyo 201701130912185553. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1477. It was decided that Xiangnan was going to take the art exam. Tan Shahen went to the Zhejiang Repertory Theater to find a line teacher for Xiangnan. She then went to the Zhejiang Song and Dance Troupe to find a physical education teacher for her, and ask Xiangnan to learn from them. She also told Xiangnan that she had already Tan Shahen, and Xiangnan asked her to continue learning the violin after interrupting it for several years. Either you don't want to do it, or if you want to do it, just do it well for me. Remember, as an actor, you have to do more than one thing. Tan Shahen asked Xiangnan to tell Lao Tan and Mrs. Tan that she was going to take the art exam. Tan Shahen knew that if she told her, they would definitely give her a blank look, but if Xiangnan told her herself, things would be different. Effect. Sure enough, as soon as Xiangnan went to talk, Lao Tan and Mrs. Tan became excited. Lao Tan felt that this was his successor. He took the incense burner and an incense, lit the incense, and asked Xiangnan to stare at the smoke for an hour every day. Under the influence of the breeze, the incense smoke was always erratic and ever-changing. Xiangnan's eyes also followed the trickle. Lao Tan and Xiangnan said that this is eye training, to train the eyes. An actor's eyes must be able to speak. Standing on the stage, even if he doesn't say a line, he just glances down at the audience seat. The audience also knows what he has to say, and actors are most afraid of having dead eyes. "What are dead fish eyes?" Xiangnan asked. "When a fish is dead, there is only one trick, and that is to roll the whites of your eyes," Lao Tan said. "A bad actor has only one trick, and that is to open your eyes wide and stare at others. When you can only stare at others, then the eyes don't move, and they have more whites than black eyes, which is no different from a dead fish." Xiangnan laughed. She remembered it and knew why her mother's eyes were so rich when talking to people. Her eyes seemed to be shining all the time. They were so beautiful. It turned out that they were all trained in this way. Lao Tan also taught Xiang Nan how to perform the back view play. The so-called back view play, Lao Tan and Xiang Nan said, is when an actor stands on the stage, even if his back is to the audience will know who he is when they look at his back. Whether he is happy or sad, every part of his body has an expression, not just on his face. Xiang Nan understood it thoroughly and immediately connected it with the physical education class. He also thought of the painting Sister painted by Uncle Xiaoshu. The back figure behind Aunt Xiao Zhao in the painting, Xiang Nan knew at a glance that it belonged to Uncle Zhang Chen. He was very sad. Xiang Nan told this to Lao Tan, who had also seen the painting. Lao Tan nodded and said, "Yes, Nan, you are right, this is called different approaches but the same effect." At the same time, Xiangnan also went to Lin Shuwen's place to participate in Yilt's training. Lin Shuwen and Tan Shahan said, "Zhen, don't worry, Nanan is left to me." Lao Yang also said, "Zhen, I will keep an eye on Nan. If Nan fails to pass the exam, I will not agree." After everything was arranged, Tan Shahan and Zhang Chen said, "There is no other way. If we get on your pirate ship, we can only walk to the dark side in one way. Zhang Chen, remember this for me. If Nan really walks to the dark side, that was your fault." Zhang Chen said, "Okay, I admit it, I will pull her out of the dark place." Lu Ligan said from the side, "Yes, I think it will work." Tan Shahan asked, "What's okay? What do you think is okay?" "I watched Nan sing, and she went to study at Beijing Film Academy. That's why we can afford to watch Beijing Film Academy," Lu Ligan said. "Get out," Tan Shahan scolded. Every night, when Xiang Nan came to train with Zhang Xiangbei in the evening, she came here wearing flat shoes and bloomers. She no longer sat in Zhang Chen's office to do her homework, but went next door, where Xiao Wu began to teach. She does somersaults. Tan Shahan has a saying that Xiang Nan has remembered, that is, if she has many skills, she will not be overwhelmed. She feels that if she has learned somersaults, it may be useful when she makes martial arts movies in the future. She can be like Zhang Ziyi in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon same. Xiangnan already had the basics of somersaults, and after learning from Xiao, he made rapid progress, kicking and turning somersaults continuously. Zhang Xiangbei said that he could turn as fast as an electric fan. This made Zhang Xiangbei envious. He said, "If only I had the ability to do somersaults like this, those American classmates would definitely turn into idiots when they saw it." Xiao Wu patted him on the back of the head and told him, "Don't think about it, your bones are already hard, you can't learn this." Zhang Xiangbei rubbed the back of his head and had no choice but to give up. Zhang Chen didn't tell Tan Shahan or Xiang Nan. He called Wenwen and told Wenwen that Xiangnan was going to take the Beijing Film Academy exam and asked Wenwen to find a relationship. It was still the same among everyone. When the test scores and conditions are the same, don't be taken advantage of and get kicked off. Wenwen said, "Okay, leave it to me, Mr. Zhang, our Nanan is going to be admitted to the film school, what else can I say, I have worked hard to find a way." A few days later, Wenwen called Zhang Chen and said that next year Beijing Film Academy will also have a test center in Hangzhou. The teacher who will go there has not been decided yet. When the decision is made, I will visit them one by one. By the way, he was also recommended by a director who had filmed for Nan. His classmate was the deputy director of Beijing Film Academy. Zhang Chen said, "Okay, thank you, Wenwen." "Why are you thanking me? Nan's affairs are not my business either. I will keep an eye on them," Wenwen and Zhang Chen said. This summer vacation, when Xiang Nan was at home in the morning, Zheng Xingxin and Zhou Ruyi came to see her almost every day. Although they are all in high school, they felt that the relationship between high school classmates seemed to be very weak. Everyone was busy with the college entrance examination. My own requirements, including those of my parents, for my children are also different, which complicates the relationship between my children. Xiang Nan and the others felt that after playing around, the two best friends in junior high school were more interesting. The three of them were actually better off now than when they were in the same class. In addition, since Zhou Ruyi's father Zhou Ben became the deputy director of the Industrial and Commercial Bureau of Hangzhou City, Zheng Xingxin's mother, teacher Ding, seems to be less opposed to Zheng Xingxin and Zhou Ruyi playing together. Sun Xiangyang also comes to play with Zhang Xiangbei every morning. At noon, he eats lunch at Zhang Xiangbei's place, as do Zheng Xingxin and Zhou Ruyi. There are 5 children here, and the happiest ones are Zhang Chen's mother and Xiao Zhao's mother. Almost every day, Zhang Chen's mother asked one by one what she wanted to eat for lunch. After getting the answer, she, Xiao Zhao's mother and Li Dian went out to buy groceries. Sun Xiangyang and Zhang Xiangbei play games and surf the internet. Xiangnan and the three of them also do homework and watch CDs. Xiangnan has written a long list of movies that she all needs to watch. They are all classics. Videos are for learning. Zheng Xingxin and Zhou Ruyi accompanied Xiangnan to watch. Sometimes, the two of them would sit stupidly beside Xiangnan and stare at the curling cigarette with her. Sun Xiangyang laughed when he saw it, saying that they were 3 nuns. The 3 nuns jumped up, pushed him down on the sofa, and beat him until he yelled for his life, while Zhang Xiangbei stood beside him and laughed. Sun Xiangyang shouted, "Zhang Xiangbei, save me." Zhang Xiangbei clasped his hands and said, "I just don't want to save him." After lunch, Zhang Xiangbei and Sun Xiangyang stood up at home. Zheng Xingxin and Zhou Ruyi would go home if they had anything to do, and would accompany Xiangnan to classes at Zhejiang Repertory Theater and Zhejiang Song and Dance Troupe. When Xiangnan was in class, they would sit next to them, read a book, or whisper. By August, the 5 children were all jumping for joy, with uncontrollable excitement on their faces every day. Zhang Chen got 6 tickets for the opening ceremony of the Beijing Olympics through Sun Ho, and they all wanted to go. Watch the Beijing Olympics opening ceremony at 8 p.m. on August 8. Zhang Chen sent them to Xiaoshan Airport in Hangzhou. After getting off the plane, Wenwen would wait for them at the capital airport and accompany them to watch the opening ceremony and play with them until the 3rd day, and then send them to the capital airport for them to fly back. Plane to Hangzhou. Zhang Chen called Wenwen and told her the matter. Zhang Chen remembered it and asked, "By the way, Wenwen, can we see your strongman compete this time?" Him. This loser was eliminated. He didn't even make the roster of the national training team. He still blamed me, saying that falling in love delayed his career. Damn it, if you don't like climbing up and down every night, crawling so hard that your feet turned into soft-footed shrimps, are you so bad? You can't even make the big list. I'm so angry that I won't let him touch me, Wenwen scolded. Zhang Chen laughed and said, "Okay, Wenwen, you still have a good way to teach your son. How about it, Mr. Zhang, next time you come to Beijing, would you like me to teach you? I have a deep love for you." Get lost, Zhang Chen cursed. Wenwen giggled. When it came time for the opening ceremony of the Beijing Olympic Games, Tan Shuhen, Lu Ligan, Xiao Wu, Su Qiaxin, and Xiao Li all arrived at Zhang Chen's office. Everyone stared at the TV screen, on the one hand to watch the opening ceremony, and on the other hand, to think about the opening ceremony. Wenwen was seen on the screen with 5 children, but after watching it, she didn't see it. Su Qiaxin told them that I seemed to have seen them. When the camera panned to the auditorium, I seemed to have seen them. Several of them had national flags on their faces, red cloth strips tied on their heads, and holding in their hands small national flag. By the way, Zhang Xiangbei's national flag seems to be stuck on his forehead, while others stick it on their cheeks. Is it real? Tan Shahen asked, and Su Kioxin nodded. Seeing that she was so sensible, everyone thought it might be true. Xiaoli shouted, "Oh, Mr. Zhang, why are you so stupid? Why didn't you record it at the time? If it had been recorded, you can watch the replay now." Zhang Chen scolded, "You are so smart, why didn't you think of it?" Xiaoli made a face and giggled. "Let's go for a late night snack. Let's come back early. The sports channel will replay the opening ceremony at 1 o'clock in the morning," Lu Ligan shouted. Everyone got up quickly. Lu Ligan said to go to Longxiang Bridge, and Tan Shahen said not to go to Longxiang Bridge, but to go to Tuxiang Garden and watch the replay in the box. Everyone thought it made sense. Su Kioxin immediately called Huihuan, then hung up and cursed, "Huihuan, this damn ghost, has gone to Shanghai." Zhang Chen said, "The Shanghai hotel is about to open, so of course she is in Shanghai." Su Kioxin immediately called the current general manager of Tuxian Jiayuan, booked a private room, and everyone went downstairs together. Sitting in the box of Tuxian Jiayuan, with the wine in full swing and the replay about to start, Tan Shahen asked, "Su Kioxin, when did you see it? Was it the blowing of the fu or the printing of movable type?" Su Kioxin scratched her head and said, "I don't know either." Everyone could only stare at the TV. They saw the athletes entering the field, but they didn't see it yet. They all scolded Su Kioxin, saying they must have seen it wrong. Su Kioxin shouted, "I remember, it was the moment the fire was lit, the moment Li Ning was hung in the air and ran." So everyone continued to watch Li Ning being hung in the air and running. After running, the torches were lit and brilliant fireworks began to rise into the sky. They did not see Wen when taking Xiang Nan and Xiang Bei with their 5 children. Everyone looked at Su Kioxin, who shouted, "Such a beautiful opening ceremony, don't you think it's worth watching it again?" Thank you Zheng Kishan for the tip. Thank you for your monthly votes from Lu, Daos Hung 123, Wu Li, Taizong Shang, Shiyo 201701719172257990, Exercise, Brother Bing, and the Snake That Bites the Farmer. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1478. By August, more than half the year had passed, and Tan Shahen felt the pressure was endless. This year, the entire real estate market was still half dead. Developers were waiting for a pickup, and consumers were waiting. While everyone was waiting, sales slipped away. Tan Shahen and the others have only achieved a sales target of 20 billion this year, which is a little more than 1/4 of 5 billion. Although there are still September and October to come, after 2007, developers have reached the so-called after the golden 9 and silver 10, Tan Shahen began to be skeptical. Tan Shahen put almost all her hopes on the Jiangkan project that was to be launched one after another in mid-December. Therefore, they planned a very large marketing plan. This plan was formed in Lu Ligan's mind when he went to Jiangkan again and again before he got the land. Lu Ligan firmly believes that as long as the plan is implemented, the Jiangkan project, like the Dragon family, will become another project of his company that goes against the market, and will drive up the housing prices in the entire Jiangkan area in one fell swoop. After Tan Shahen and Lao Tan reviewed Lu Ligan's marketing plan, they felt that his expectations were likely to be realized. At this point, they had to admire Lu Ligan. This guy always seemed to be able to stimulate the target consumers the most. Sensitive nerves, or pain points that prick them, make it impossible for them to move. However, if the Jiangkan project is to be launched as scheduled in mid-December, it must work overtime to meet the construction deadline. And to meet the construction deadline, money will flow out like water. For projects without guaranteed funds, the construction period cannot be guaranteed, and time will be lost. It is consumed in the back and forth tug of war between Party A and Party B. The problem is that the funds in their accounts are already very tight. The price of the 4 plots of land in Jiangkan far exceeded their expectations. Tan Shahen originally estimated that the 4 plots of land could cost 33.44 billion. To win it, unexpectedly it cost 4.2 billion, which was nearly 1 billion more than expected. Including the land acquired by each branch, they spent more than 8 billion on acquiring land alone in the first half of the year. There is no way around this. Land is the lifeblood of real estate companies. Without land, all you can build is a loft in the sky. Moreover, they cannot say that they have acquired land in Hangzhou but not elsewhere. If so, the branch's business will be interrupted. For each company, they must ensure that there is a project for sale, a project under construction, and a planning and design. There are still at least 2 pieces of reserve land for the projects in progress. If we don't follow this pace, it will be difficult to guarantee the sales performance of each branch. They are now a listed company, and their annual sales growth is a requirement of thousands of shareholders for the company. Including their sales target of 20 billion this year, it only meets market expectations. If you want to ensure your annual sales, you must launch new properties in a rhythmic manner. A house cannot be built in one day, and the sales target cannot be achieved in one day. In addition, now, it is no longer possible to rely on just a drawing. When selling a house, local regulatory requirements require at least ±0 to qualify for pre-sale. Tan Shahen now regrets that she hesitated and was not firm enough to stop Lu Ligan from taking the 4th piece of land in Jiangkan. Tan Shahen called the general managers of each branch back to Hangzhou for a meeting. Firstly, she asked them to work harder on sales. Secondly, she reminded them to increase revenue and reduce expenditure. In fact, for real estate companies, there is nothing to increase in open source, and there is more in open source. For sales, the main thing is to remind them to cut down on expenditure. Tan Shahen made it clear to them that the company is currently strapped for funds, and projects in various places cannot be stopped. If the projects are stopped, it will not only affect the sales performance this year, but will also drag down next year. The branch managers who attended the meeting also felt melancholy. Ying and Tan Shahen said, "I have done several market surveys and it is clear that everyone has a high desire to buy a house, but the actual sales cannot be made. Everyone is waiting and watching," Tan Shahen said. "It's the same here in Hangzhou. Everyone is holding money to buy. What they fear most is that like now, the policy and direction are unclear. It's just crazy," Zhang Mushin said. "Every time the market just picks up a little bit, a policy is introduced to suppress it, or it is simply made clear that you developers do not need to develop or sell the houses, and simply return to welfare distribution." Fang, but he didn't dare, and the result was that we were caught in the middle and suffered from both ends. "Okay, don't complain like this, especially not in front of the employees below you. Not only will it not help, it will also affect morale," Tan Shahen said. "I know, even if you think about holding your breath, it's not like being a urinal," Zhang Mushin said, and everyone laughed. By September, some people finally couldn't hold it in any longer. On September 3, Vanke Group launched the youth home buying plan in Hangzhou. Its 4 projects and hundreds of units were sold at prices as low as 20% off, triggering a rush to buy that day. Vanke's groundbreaking move triggered an unprecedented shock in Hangzhou's property market. The response from the industry and the public was greater than the response to any of the most stringent macroeconomic control measures. The property market in Hangzhou, where prices have always been on an upward trend, suddenly suffered an attack from huge price cuts. The market suffered a severe setback, just like a cliff breaking caused by an earthquake. In the magical real estate market of Hangzhou, the myth that house prices only rise but never fall has always been played out. Vanke's groundbreaking price reduction has had a disruptive impact on the Hangzhou real estate market. Vank's price cut also caused a panic within the Jinxia group. They were snapping up properties. The properties of other real estate companies suddenly became deserted, and sales plummeted. Tan Shahen came to Lu Ligan and asked him, "How is it, should we follow up?" Lu Ligan shook his head and cursed, "This Wang has ruined the entire property market in Hangzhou. If he does this nationwide, he will bring down the entire property market, this bastard." "Is it that serious?" Lao Tan asked. "Of course, this bastard pretends to be familiar with world-famous books all day long. In fact, he only knows a few words and doesn't understand anything. He doesn't even understand the most basic old sayings. Don't you know, buy up, don't buy down." Everyone has been waiting and watching, and their confidence is very fragile with his actions. Home buyers are even more afraid to buy a house. Just wait and see. Lu Ligan's words came true. After September 3, many real estate projects in Hangzhou followed Vank's price cuts, and house prices in Hangzhou began to plummet. However, despite the lower prices, the entire property market has become even more sluggish. In the 61 days of the Golden 9 and Silver 10 periods, less than 3,000 houses were sold in Hangzhou, with an average of only 48 units per day, which is not as good as in the traditional off-season. July and August. In addition to stimulating some conditioned home buyers due to price reductions, the purchasing power of the public has not been stimulated, but has even retreated. If the price is low, people's expectations will be even lower. The price reduction has intensified the wait-and-see mentality. Emotions and confidence in housing prices also collapsed while waiting and watching. A more severe situation is coming soon. If developers feel it is very hard now, they will feel even harder in the future. Real estate developers who feel life is very difficult now should taste what it means to live like a year and still have a living. Better to die. On September 15, 2008, the 12th day after Vank Hangzhou's house price cut, the most serious landmark event in the U.S. subprime mortgage crisis was that Lehman Brothers, the fourth largest investment bank in the U.S., declared bankruptcy. The financial tsunami spread rapidly across the world from Wall Street. The black swan that Xiaofang talked about, the major event in the future that Lu Yun talked about, has finally arrived. The bankruptcy of Lehman Brothers caused the U.S. stock market to plummet. The speed and magnitude of the plummet were comparable to those of Niagara Falls. In an instant, it swept away the entire Wall Street. Yesterday, many people who were in neat suits, shiny leather shoes, and walking with wind financial practitioners woke up and found that not only their jobs were gone, but their companies were also gone. The bankruptcy of Lehman Brothers happened during the holidays in China. August 13th, 14th, and 15th are consecutive holidays of the Mid-Autumn Festival and weekends. The stock and futures markets are closed. If we talk about this world, some people are watching helplessly. How did they die? It was because of these people who manipulated the financial market. When Chen Yakin saw the news on TV, the first word that came to her mind was "It's over." They had just experienced a brief excitement, and then it was over. On September 12th, their positions were almost full and they speculated on PDA. It closed at the highest point of the day at 9,208 points, an increase of 258 points or 2.88%. Chen Yakin kept reminding Lao Ni that the position was too heavy, but Lao Ni was unmoved. He shouted, "If it rises to more than 200 points today, it is victory. Give me a hit." The reason why Lao Ni has this confidence and dares to fill his position is that there is a difference of 500 to 600 yuan between the futures price and the spot price of PDA. The spot price of PDA has risen to 961 tons, and the futures price is still below 9,000 tons, which is rising. Isn't the space still obvious? Another reason is that Lao Ni will follow up with Mao Xiaomao. Mao Xiaomao has not yet made a move. His current funds have reached about 1 billion. The role Lao Ni assigned to him is that I will charge first and you will reinforce from behind. This way only by setting off wave after wave of climax can we attract more funds from various parties to enter the market. When they come in, we will withdraw. Then you rush and I will support you. Mao Zedong promised that by September 16, Mao Zedong's 1 billion funds will enter the market, pushing the price that Lao Ni has pushed up today even higher. Lao Ni has nothing to worry about. Chen Yakin reminded Lao Ni that there is a 3-day holiday next, and it is taboo to take heavy positions before the holiday. Lao Ni said, "Isn't it just 3 days? Any major event will happen within 3 days, that is, the Myanmar hurricane. We thought the market would plummet at the opening, but how much did it actually fall?" Chen Yakin couldn't control this mad cow and had no choice but to give up. But now, she felt deeply that it was over. She knew that the PTA would definitely plummet on the 16th. On Monday the 15th, the news came out that the country was still on holiday, but London the futures market was already plummeting. Chen Yakin took a look and was shocked to see that the plummet was not just a few points, but dozens of points. For example, London copper and nickel have almost halved. Who can stop such a decline? Although there is no PTA product in the external market, the futures market is linked. When other commodities are plummeting, the confidence of the entire market is destroyed, and your PTA cannot be alone. What scares Chen Yakin the most is that they are still the same. Lao Ni does not allow a stop-loss line to be set. If a stop-loss line is set, Chen Yakin can now calculate the maximum loss, whether it is 100 million or 200 million, but there is no stop-loss, and according to this drop, Chen Yakin felt that there was only one result, and that was to get the position filled. The position was almost full and was filled. Chen Yakin did not dare to think about it. She didn't even dare to call Lao Ni. She knew the outcome she could see, and Lao Ni could definitely see it. The night was already very deep, and Chen Yakin was leaning on the sofa. Even now, the summer in Jiangnan has not passed yet. But Chen Yakin felt herself trembling. And this night, Lao Ni didn't sleep at all. He sat there and smoked constantly, almost counting the bells on the wall and watching the sky outside light up little by little. Thank you to Xiao Sheng, who is 48 years old, has 2 fishes, and gave me the reward at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you for the monthly votes of Xiao Shen Nian Fang 48, Shijiaz Wang Jiaozi, Gongzimianzi, Humorous Tribe, Why Can't I Change My Name, Tianying 1978, The Snake That Bit the Farmer, and Book Friends 201707241126511879. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1479. Ren Rongrong had already gone to bed and was about to go to sleep. The cell phone on the bedside rang. Ren Rongrong looked at it and saw that it was Lu Yun. Ren Rongrong quickly picked it up. Look at the news, Lu Yun said, and then look at the external market. After Lu Yun finished speaking, she hung up the phone. With bare feet, Ren Rongrong went to the desk to get the laptop, sat back on the bed, put the laptop on her lap and opened it. She looked at it for a while. I'll go. Ren Rongrong jumped up from the bed, the laptop on her lap. The laptop slid under the bed. Ren Rongrong was shocked and quickly reached out to grab it. The computer didn't catch it, the castration was too violent, and the person rolled onto the carpet under the bed, making Ren Rongrong laugh. She got up, picked up the computer and walked outside to the living room. She walked back to the door and took the mobile phone on the bedside table. Ren Rongrong sat on the sofa and kept sliding his fingers on the touchpad. The more he looked at it, the more he couldn't hide the smile on his face. There was a voice in his heart that kept saying, "It's time, the last moment has arrived. Yes, it's time. I can witness the death of a great king." Ren Rongrong said to himself and laughed after speaking. She knows Lao Ni's situation very well. She knows that he has a full position and is waiting for his billions of funds to be invested on the 16th. Ren Rongrong is sure of it. According to Lao Ni's character, when he does this, there should be no stop loss. The face of Lao Ni appeared in front of Ren Rongrong's eyes. Go to hell, Ren Rongrong said. Ren Rongrong took a long breath. She felt that the stone that had been weighing on her heart for so many years could finally be moved away. She had finally become a female version of the Count of Monte Cristo, and she could finally take revenge. The set of books that Ren Rongrong had read was called The Enmity of Monte Cristo. Ren Rongrong didn't like the word enmity. You, Lao Ni, have no kindness to me, only hatred. I just want revenge. So many days and nights, I sacrificed almost everything, no rest days, no time to go home, no time to fall in love. I gave almost everything to Lao Ni and helped him make so much money, but in the end, he was driven away like a dog. Ren Rongrong went downstairs that day, got into a taxi, and went to the East bus station. She didn't want to stay in Hangzhou anymore. She didn't even return to her room and was going to go back to her hometown. She felt that she needed to find a place far away from Hangzhou. Only by curling up in this place can he slowly digest and swallow the humiliation he suffered in Hangzhou. Ren Rongrong arrived at the East bus station. As soon as he got off the taxi, a passing bus drove to the door of the East bus station to pick up passengers. The bus was moving slowly in case the security guards came to drive them away. The door was open, and the window next to the door was also open. The conductor got half of her body out of the window. She banged on the carriage with one hand and shouted, "Shanghai, Shanghai. Let's leave now." Ren Rongrong jumped on the car like a ghost. When the car was approaching Shanghai, Ren Rongrong had already made up his mind to stay in Shanghai. He would not go back to Hangzhou. Only in Shanghai could he have the opportunity and find his own place. Ren Rongrong found a hotel to stay in on Xiaofei Road. She stayed in the hotel for 3 days. She saw the recruitment notice of Lu Yun's company from the Xinmin Evening News, and Ren Rongrong went there. It was Lu Yun who interviewed her. She asked Ren Rongrong where she was from, and Ren Rongrong told her Hangcheng. Lu Yun glanced at her, and Ren Rongrong felt that Lu Yun seemed to have some special feelings for Hangcheng. Lu Yun casually reported 2 futures varieties, turned a laptop with a network cable plugged into it in front of Ren Rongrong, and asked her to open the trading software, look at the market, and analyze the 2 futures varieties. Ren Rongrong did as Lu Yun asked. Just like the old Jewish lady who decided to hire Lu Yun on the spot, Lu Yun hired Ren Rongrong on the spot because she believed in her own judgment. If Ren Rongrong first came to find a job in order to settle down and make a living, her idea of revenge against Lao Ni only began to form after she established a foothold in Lu Yun's company and gained an understanding of the company's strength. She felt that the company, including the boss Lu Yun, is someone she can rely on. Without them, she and Lao Ni would not be on the same level at all, and revenge would be out of the question. With them, Lao Ni would become the weaker party in comparison. All she had to do was find the right opportunity and give him a fatal blow. And now, this opportunity has come. Ren Rongrong picked up the phone and called Lu Yun. She told Lu Yun, "Mr. Lu, I can't believe this is true. Your decision to ask us all to short is so right." Lu Yun was also in a good mood. She said, "Tomorrow is our big harvest day. We will get good returns from shorting the US dollar, shorting a 50, and you. By the way, what's that guy's name?" Nizhijan Ren Rongrong said. Lu Yun asked, "How are you going to deal with him tomorrow?" "I want to collect his body," Ren Rongrong said. Lu Yun was stunned for a moment, then giggled. She said, "Okay, you will have plenty of funds tomorrow." "Thank you, Mr. Lu." On the morning of the 16th, when Lao Ni arrived at the financial business department, Chen Yakin and the others were already there. When they saw him, not only did they not say hello to him, but they turned their heads away consciously. Lao Ni didn't speak to them. He walked straight to Ren Rongrong's original seat, sat down, turned on the computer, and stared at the screen. Everyone else was also staring at the screen. In the whole room, only a few people could be heard trying to suppress their gasps. They didn't look at each other or speak, but everyone's minds were as clear as a freshly wiped mirror. They did not enter the market during the collective bidding stage, and they did not have enough funds to enter the market. They could only wait quietly and resign themselves to fate. The opening price on the disc kept changing as the call auction progressed, and everything was as expected. They stared at the screen, and the more they looked at it, the heavier their hearts became. Chen Yakin was convinced that no miracle would happen. The opening moment finally arrived. As soon as the opening price came out, Lao Ni felt like the world was spinning. The opening price of PTA was 7,120 points, which was a sharp drop of 22.68% from the closing price of the previous trading day. They were completely out of position, and they were not even given time to pay the margin. Lao Ni stood up with his hands on the table, and walked out as silently as when he came. The remaining people looked at each other. Chen Yakin looked at their accounts and burst into tears. Their margin account was zero. More than 1.23 billion funds were returned to zero. Tianjiao, and this time, they lost nearly 2 billion in total. NI's capital and earnings over the years were all lost. Mengping and Lu Ligan's principal and Indi's tribute profits were also lost. They have nothing left. Chen Yakin shed tears silently, while Beijing, Molly and the others sobbed softly. Lao Ni returned to his office. When he entered the office, he told his secretary not to let anyone disturb me. Lao Ni walked into the office and closed the door. Lao Ni leaned against the door for a while. He felt weak in his limbs. He didn't know how long he had been standing like this. He walked towards his desk. The distance of more than 10 meters, from today's perspective, felt extremely long. Lao Ni sat down on the executive chair, put his hands on the desk, and buried his face in his hands. The phone on the table rang, and Lao Ni yanked hard and disconnected the phone cord. After a while, his cell phone rang, and Lao Ni turned off the phone. Lao Ni sat blankly. At this time, his face was not buried in his hands, but his hands were placed on his chin. He turned his head and looked outside. The curtains were drawn on the window. He couldn't actually see outside, but Lao Ni still staring there, he looked at the curtains and thought he saw the gloomy sky outside. There were 2 clicks on the door, and then the door was pushed open a crack. The secretary stuck his head in and shouted, "Mr. Ni." Lao Ni was furious. He grabbed something on the table and threw it out, cursing, "Get out." A frightened pale face immediately shrank back, and the door was closed. Lao Ni didn't seem to understand his hatred. He hit the table hard with both palms, which made his hands hurt. He opened his palms and saw that they were already red. Lao Ni stood up, feeling that his feet had some strength. He walked to the window, opened the curtains, and stared outside blankly. The sky was gloomy, the water of the Jiangnan Canal was dark, and the dynamic zone and the center of Hangzhou on the opposite side seemed to be shrouded in darkness. In a layer of smoke. Lao Ni felt that his brain was blank, and he urgently needed to find something to fill it in, but he didn't know what to fill it in. There was only one thing he knew clearly, that is, he had returned to the starting point. Strictly speaking, he was already a pauper. Although his factory is still there, the plane is still there, and the office building is still there, he knows in his heart that if it is offset by his debts, he has no money left. In recent years, the factory has been unable to make any money and has become larger and larger, but it has turned itself into a financing platform. What the factory does every day is actually helping the bank earn interest. If the bank takes away all the loans, then it's not enough to pay all his factories to the bank. The actual ability to make money in a factory with thousands of people is not as good as that of a small workshop with a dozen or so people. At that time, the money earned every day was real, and everything went into your own pocket. You can hear the money. There is a ding-dong sound, and now, the money has entered the factory's account, and I don't know whose pocket it will end up in, either this bank or that bank. Only the money in the accounts of the financial business department is real, something he can see and touch. His accumulation over the years is all here. Looking at that long series of numbers is enough to make him feel nervous. Straight up. However, everything disappeared overnight. Lau Ni did not believe that this was true, but it happened to be true. At such an old age, Lau Ni had already learned not to deceive himself. Lau Ni stood there, staring blankly outside. He didn't know it, but he had been standing in front of the window for more than an hour. When Lau Ni turned around, the paper could no longer contain the fire. Lau Ni felt that it was time to tell Meng Ping and Lu Ligan what had happened. At the same time, Lau Ni felt that he still had a glimmer of hope and could turn around, so he wanted to come over to discuss it with them. Lau Ni walked to the desk and couldn't find his cell phone. He looked around and found his cell phone lying on the carpet near the door. It turned out that it was his cell phone that he threw out in front of him. Lau Ni wanted to go over and pick up the phone, but saw QQ flashing and Mao Xiaomao looking for him. Lau Ni opened the dialog box and Mao Xiaomao said, "It's terrible. How could such a thing happen? Your Majesty, I'm very worried about you." Lau Ni's heart moved. Mao Xiaomao continued to ask, "Your Majesty, have you ever been out of position? I remember that you don't set a stop loss." Lau Ni thought for a while and said honestly, "Yeah." Mao Xiaomao, he, congratulations to you. By the way, Your Majesty, I forgot to tell you, my real name is not Mao Xiaomao, but Ren Rongrong. Lau Ni was stunned. "Thank you for your monthly votes from Dao Dueng, First Home Loan, and Shijia's Wang Jiaozi. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1480. Lau Ni sat there with a gloomy face, feeling frightened for a while. It turned out that he had always been in other people's pits, and the other party completely knew himself and the enemy. Thinking back carefully, no wonder this Mao Xiaomao would withdraw at several critical moments. It turns out that she is Ren Rongrong, so it's not surprising. Lau Ni determined that Ren Rongrong was undoubtedly standing on the opposite side of him and was strangulating with him. In fact, it was her. Lau Ni knew that she was seeking revenge for having driven her out of the company without any reason. The most terrible thing is that his tactics are completely open to her, which is a big taboo. No wonder he fell so hard. Although this incident had little to do with Ren Rongrong, it was impossible for Ren Rongrong to know that Lehman Brothers would collapse, let alone that the collapse of Lehman Brothers would bring about such an overwhelming wave and subprime mortgage crisis. The financial crisis has been talked about for a long time since last year. My ears have already heard the cocoon and I thought it was going to be over. Unexpectedly, the worst moment has just begun. Lau Ni believed that Ren Rongrong did not expect such a thing to happen, and she just escaped by chance. Otherwise, according to Mao Xiaomao's past operations, Lau Ni thought that she would at least fake 2 big orders today and then sneak away. Ren Rongrong is not that awesome. Lau Ni thinks. After knowing that his opponent was Ren Rongrong, Lau Ni felt more at ease even though he was filled with hatred. If his opponent was Ren Rongrong, Lau Ni didn't think it was scary. He believed that she would not have much strength. What she said 1 billion, probably all contain water. In this case, the battles of both sides have been set up, and the generals have appeared. Everyone can start to fight with real swords and guns. Lao Ni feels that I am not afraid of you. He didn't know if he said this to Ren Wrong, but he felt that he just wanted to say it. He wanted to say it to all his opponents. No matter who they were, Lao Ni would say, I'm not afraid of you. What about me, Lao Ni? The strong wind and waves haven't passed by. Do you think you can knock me down just now? It's not that easy. Lao Ni said, it's not that easy, I tell you. We'll see. Lao Ni gradually calmed down, and he began to examine his current situation. There was no doubt that his current situation was very dangerous. It could be said that he was already standing on the edge of a cliff, with an abyss in front of him. If he took one step forward, he would be doomed. This made Lao Ni felt a chill in his vest. Lao Ni felt that he still had to struggle and start to redeem himself. Lao Ni couldn't think of the word self-salvation. What he could think of was, relying on myself. Lao Ni got to where I am today, relying entirely on myself. Lao Ni thinks that the one who can save himself is himself. Objectively speaking, if you calculate your net worth, Lao Ni knows that he is now a pauper, but he knows that he still has a huge asset, which is face. Yes, that's right, for a man, especially for a man for entrepreneurs, face is the most valuable thing, and Lao Ni feels that his face is still there. This face allows him to just make a phone call and tell the other party how much money he needs to make a transfer. The other party will call the money right away without saying anything. If it is less than 10 million, he doesn't even need an IOU. Only when the amount is huge does he need to make up for it. IOU and implement some guarantee measures. As long as today's incident does not spread, as long as Lao Ni's factory and company are still operating normally, his reputation will still be there. Only when even this face is gone, and there is no more, and a phone call can easily transfer hundreds of millions to Lao Ni, will he be so embarrassed that he can't even borrow 10,000 yuan. His face is so valuable, and reality is such a reality. Lao Ni was shocked when he thought of this. He quickly called the financial business department and asked Chen Yakin to come over. Chen Yakin came over, and Lao Ni told her to explain today's matter. People in your department should not tell me a word about today's matter, and don't tell her parents or boyfriend. Chen Yakin said, I know, I have already explained it. Lao Ni breathed a sigh of relief and said okay, then you can go, I will think about it alone. Chen Yakin turned and left. Lao Ni thought about it, stopped her again, and told her, I will call Mr. Meng and ask him to come to Hangzhou, and I will tell him the matter myself. Chen Yakin didn't know why Lao Ni mentioned Meng Ping to her in particular, but she still nodded. After Chen Yakin left, Lao Ni first called Meng Ping and asked him to come to Hangzhou. Meng Ping said yes and I would leave immediately. This time, Mr. Meng, you may need to stay in Hangzhou for a few more days, Lao Ni said. Meng Ping said yes. Lao Ni then called Lu Ligan and asked him to come to his office, saying that he had something important to talk to him. Lu Ligan smiled and said, Old Ni, are you going to introduce a C or Y way to me this time? Lao Ni also smiled bitterly and said, I can't care about that now. Lu Ligan came, and Lao Ni told him the matter. Lao Ni said, I'm sorry, Gangzi, for losing both you and Lao Meng's capital. Lu Ligan said it was okay. If you lose money, you will lose money. In business, profits and losses are normal. Lu Ligan asked Lao Ni in turn, you are the one who suffered the biggest loss this time. Lao Ni, how are you, can you still withstand it? Lao Ni said thank you, it was okay, but he felt unwilling and dissatisfied. What? Lu Ligan asked, do you still want to get your money back? Yes, if you want to do it, now is an opportunity, Lao Ni said. Lu Ligan asked, how to turn it over? We'll wait until Lao Meng arrives. I'll tell you everything in detail, Lao Ni said. Lu Ligan said yes. Lao Ni asked Lu Ligan how he was doing now. Lu Ligan said that it was not good. The sales had been disrupted by bank. Now the house could not be sold at all. Let's wait for the opportunity. Lao Ni thought about it and asked, Gangzi, did this incident in the United States have any impact on you? Probably not. It's Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac that have problems in the United States. It's none of our business. We don't sell houses in the United States, and foreign capital can't enter the domestic real estate market. What has a big impact on us is domestic macro control policy. We are mainly beaten into disgrace by it, Lu Ligan said, and Lao Ni nodded. At around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Meng Ping arrived, and the futures market was closed. Lao Ni led Meng Ping and Lu Ligan to the financial business department. He asked Molly and Beijing to go back first, and only Chen Yakin stayed. Lao Ni asked Chen Yakin to start reviewing the game on the big screen on the wall. Seeing today's market, even layman Meng Ping and Lu Ligan were startled. Meng Ping shouted, I'll go, this is completely diving from a high platform. Who can bear such a fall? Chen Yakin said, yes, this is a cliff-like decline. But it's also an opportunity, Lao Ni said. What do you mean, Lao Ni? After such a tragic fall, why do you still call it an opportunity? Lu Ligan asked. Lao Ni said, the reason why it fell so badly is because of market panic, and it is not a practical problem. From a practical point of view, what does the subprime mortgage crisis in the United States have to do with China's PDA? I asked. Today, the price of spot PDA has been reduced, but we still need 8,000 tons. Look at the price here, it has almost dropped to 7,000 tons. Why is this happening, Lao Ni? Meng Ping asked. Collective panic will expand the scope of declines or increases, especially declines. Declines often fall too far, but are immediately corrected by the market, Chen Yakin said. This is even more obvious in the foreign exchange market. Every month, the U.S. non-agricultural indicators are released. In those 10 or 20 minutes, such an event will happen again, with a sharp decline or rise, and then an immediate rebound. Are you saying that this may have fallen too far? Meng Ping asked. Chen Yakin nodded, looking at the market. Yes, you see, the market dropped 88 points at the opening today. However, throughout the day today, in the market, from the highest of 7,272 to the lowest of 7,094, the difference is only 178 points. This amplitude is very small, indicating that there is strong support around 7,000 points, and if it cannot fall tomorrow, there will be a chance to rebound. Lao Ni, is this the opportunity you mentioned? Lu Ligan asked. Lao Ni is right, I think this wave has fallen too deep, and there will definitely be a rebound next. I don't know anything about futures, Meng Ping said, but I know a simple truth. Since you can lose more than $1 billion a day in the futures market, it is also possible to make more than $1 billion back here. Right. What we lost was earned by someone, Chen Yakin said. The futures market is inherently a zero-sum game. Then there's nothing to say, let's just earn it back. What are we afraid of? When Meng Ping was talking, he felt that the little boy he was when he played Legend was back. The little boy who captured the Shabak Palace alone was back. Old Ni, what are you going to do? Do you need money? I don't have much, but I can spare 100 million. Let's fight back. Meng Ping said, turned around, and said to Lu Ligan, Qian Fang and the others are short of funds. Let them take my other money and use it first. Lu Lepol nodded. Lao Ni said yes, let's make back what we lost, but 100 million is not enough. Meng Ping looked at Lu Ligan and saw that Lu Ligan was silent. Meng Ping understood. Lu Ligan and the others are now, firstly, financially tight. Secondly, they are no longer as good as they were back then. Lu Ligan is now using large amounts of funds. It must go through Tan Shahan, and according to the regulations of listed companies, an announcement is required. Meng Ping said, then what should we do? The Pole is a listed company. Large amounts of funds are moved and need to be announced. Don't say that there is no way to announce this matter. It is possible. When the announcement is completed, the opportunity will probably be lost. Lao Ni nodded. He said there is no need to bother, Lao Mang, Gangzi, as long as you still trust me, Lao Ni, and dare to do it with me, Lao Ni, I will come up with a solution for the money matter. My Lao Ni's face is still there now, we are still the same as last time, I will be responsible for raising the money, I will lend it, and you can guarantee it, okay. Lao Mang, you don't have to touch your 100 million. Lao Ni smiled and said, don't let you have no money to eat. Meng Ping and Lu Ligan both agreed, and Meng Ping said, let's take back the Shabak Palace. The other three people looked at him, wondering what he was talking about, and Meng Ping laughed. Thank you to Xiao Sheng, who is 48 years old, has 2 fishes, and gave me the reward at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you for your monthly votes from Xiao Shen Ni and Fang 48, Humor Tribe, UN 11, and Pai Wu Sun. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1481. Meng Ping and Lu Ligan got up early the next day. As agreed the day before, they arrived at Lao Ni's company at around 8 o'clock in the morning. Today, Lao Ni gave everyone else in the company a holiday, leaving only the people in the financial business department at work. When Meng Ping and Lu Ligan arrived, Chen Yakin took them to the conference room and told them that Lao Ni was waiting for them in the conference room. The 2 people arrived at the conference room and were startled to see more than a dozen people sitting in the conference room. Several of them were Meng Ping and Lu Ligan, whom they had met before. The last time they borrowed money, these people were there. Share. Seeing them arriving, Lao Ni introduced Meng Ping and Lu Ligan to the dozen or so people. Everyone smiled and nodded to them, and Meng Ping and Lu Ligan also nodded to them. Lao Ni said to them, let's start. Those people picked up the phone one after another and started calling to notify their homes or companies to transfer money. There were 2 people who came with their own laptops. They turned on the computer and started transferring money on the computer. Lao Ni also there was a laptop computer. Someone said to him, Zhijan, it has been transferred out. Lao Ni looked at his computer. When the money arrived, Lao Ni took one from the pile of printed EIS beside him, filled in the numbers, signed his name, and stamped the official seal of his Dewa Group Co., Limited. Then Meng Ping and Lu the Pole also signed and stamped it, and a loan was completed. Among them, people kept asking Lao Ni, Zhijan, do you want more? This means that his relatives and friends still have money, and they also want to lend it out. When Lao Ni said he wanted it, the person told the other party Lao Ni's account number on the phone, asked them to transfer the money, and told them, I will bring you the IOU. After a while, the phone call came and said that it had been sent out. The man told Lao Ni how much money had been sent out again. Lao Ni saw that the account had been received and nodded. The man told Lao Ni that this was written. Whose name? There were too many people on the phone and they were interfering with each other. Some people simply stood up and went to the corridor outside to make a call. They came back and told Lao Ni that the call was over. Lao Ni just didn't want other people in the company to see the scene, so he simply gave them all a day off today. If people talk nonsense and spread random things, eventually something will happen, which will ruin Lao Ni's face. There is no more transmission. At about 10 o'clock, all the loans were in place. Lao Ni told everyone that I am busy here and will not let you eat. Those people say that if you have enough time, you will have plenty of time after eating. They put the IOU in their bags, stood up, smiled and nodded to Mengping and Lu Lipol, and then left one after another. This morning, a total of 1.53 billion was received, with a loan period of 1 year and a monthly interest of 3 cents. Mengping and Lu Ligan had never seen such a spectacular scene of borrowing money before. Mengping sighed and said, "Lao Ni, it seems that your face is really quite big." Lao Ni smiled humbly and said, "They made money regardless of whether they wanted to save face or not. By the way, you are not allowed to run away during this period, stay here and do it together," Lao Ni said to Mengping and Lu Ligan. Lu Ligan waved his hand quickly, "I don't have time. There are still a lot of things in my company." Then Lao Meng, you must keep it," Lao Ni said. Lu Ligan laughed and said, "Lao Meng, that's fine. Lao Meng, if you go out, you're afraid that Zhang Chen will see you, so why don't you just stay among these women? When I go back to Nanjing, why should I stay here? It's enough as long as Lao Ni is here," Mengping said. No, Lao Meng, you won't have anything to do if you go back anyway, you must stay here. Come here to work every day," Lao Ni said. "Why should I keep it? I don't understand futures," Mengping said with a smile. "You pay me my salary when I go to work, Lao Ni. There is no problem with the salary. If you keep it, it will give me courage," Lao Ni said. "As I get older, I am less courageous. With Lao Meng here, I have one more person to discuss it with, so I feel confident." Now that the words have come to this point, Mengping said, "Okay, then I'll keep it." The three of them went to the financial business department. Lao Ni asked Chen Yakin, "Did you buy it?" Chen Yakin shook her head. She said no, she had not found a suitable position to open a position yet, but our judgment yesterday was correct. Chen Yakin pointed to the big screen on the wall and said to them, "Today, 7,098 opened. At 9:53 minutes, I briefly went to 6,952, which is here, but I came back immediately, and then it was always between 7,000 and 7,100. It has been trading sideways for a while, that's right, there is strong support here at 7,000. What does this mean?" Mengping asked. "It means that the long and short sides are in a stalemate, and no one has the absolute power to defeat the other. I know that the short side also knows it. They also know it now. There is strong support at 7,000 points. If this goes on for a long time, they will not be able to fight. Confidence will be shaken," Chen Yakin said. "Does that mean that when we enter the field now, we will be the key force?" Mengping asked. Chen Yakin is right. "Then why don't we go in?" Lu Ligan asked. "Wait, don't worry, let's see how resilient the bears are," Chen Yakin said. "When they are at the end of their strength, we can enter the field and quickly pull up the board. Now it is a war of attrition." Mengping and Lu Ligan both laughed, and Lu Ligan said that it was really exactly the same as the battlefield. Lao Ni smiled and said, "It's true, you have never experienced the feeling of constantly adding positions, it is really happy, it is the same as the sword on the battlefield." What has he never experienced before? Lu Ligan thought to himself, isn't it just like the feeling of stud in the casino? When Lao Ni said this, Mengping thought again of the little bastard who captured the Shabak Palace. Standing in the empty Shabak Palace, drawing his sword and looking around, there were corpses everywhere. It was a great feeling. Lu Ligan had to leave for something. Lao Ni and Chen Yakin said that Mr. Meng will be here these days and you should take good care of him. Chen Yakin's eyes lit up. She turned around to look at Mengping and nodded. Mengping also nodded towards her. On this day, although they had 1.53 billion funds in their margin account, they never opened a position. Chen Yakin always said that it was not the right position to open a position. Although Lao Ni wanted to enter the market several times, after all, having just experienced such a big change, he was still a little shaken and his courage was really gone. He decided to listen to Chen Yakin today. In the evening, Lao Ni asked Meng Ping, Lao Meng, are you going to have dinner with me or? Before Lao Ni finished speaking, Meng Ping said, I don't want to eat with you. What I didn't say was that Fi Fei, Chiao Chiao, Menjeo, and the like came out with you again. Lao Ni smiled and said, then I don't care about you. Meng Ping said, okay, you don't have to worry about me, just take care of yourself. Don't catch a cold at such an old age. This was a bit ambiguous, and both Lao Ni and Chen Yakin laughed. Lao Ni turned around and said to Chen Yakin, you make arrangements. Chen Yakin nodded. When Molly and Beijing left, Chen Yakin and Meng Ping were the only ones left in the office. Chen Yakin asked, where are they going? Didn't you arrange it? Meng Ping said. Chen Yakin smiled and said, okay, I will arrange it. The two of them went downstairs and sat in Chen Yakin's car. Chen Yakin asked Meng Ping whether he should go to eat first or stay there first. Meng Ping still said, didn't you arrange it? Chen Yakin laughed and said yes, would you choose to stay in a hotel or my living room? This time, Meng Ping said, I would rather live in the living room and have someone to talk to. Okay, I'll take you in, Chen Yakin said. The next day, when the market fell to 6,970, Chen Yakin started to open a position. She only dared to try her luck and placed 5,000 lots. She said that she would go back soon. Sure enough, as soon as Chen Yakin finished speaking, the price immediately climbed to over 7,000 points. On this day, although it closed at 7,018 points, down 26 points or 0.37% throughout the day, their account was in the red, with a small win of 24 points. 10,000. On September 19, the market began to turn red, and Lao Ni kept shouting, adding more positions, and Meng Ping also followed suit. Chen Yakin began to add positions. On the 20th, the red continued and the increase began to expand. Both Lao Ni and Chen Yakin breathed a sigh of relief. They stared at the market and felt that the trend had been established. Lu Ligan and Lao Ni said that the subprime mortgage crisis originating from the United States did not have a great impact on them. He really misjudged the harm of this crisis. The subprime mortgage crisis soon evolved into a financial crisis. Crisis swept the world. Sales in Lu Ligan's sales offices across the country dropped to freezing point. Then, the number of loan cuts began to increase in large numbers. Indictments from the court were flying towards them like snowflakes every day. In the sales offices, people came and made noise every day. There are more people wanting to check out than looking at the property. Not surprisingly, the financial crisis in the United States has not only hit people's confidence in the global economy, but also has a direct impact. Exports, one of the troika of the Chinese economy, have been severely damaged. Export companies have begun to lose orders in large quantities. Payment settlement difficulties, followed by a wave of bankruptcies and closures of foreign trade factories. The regions where Lu Ligan's company is located, especially Zhejiang, are dominated by export-oriented economies. Whether it was the Wenzhou Army, the Shaoxing Army, the Yuwu Army or the Taizhou Army, all the home-buying armies not only turned off their fires at this moment, but also threw off their armor and fled in all directions. In October, China's imports and exports began to decline significantly. In November and December, negative growth unexpectedly occurred. Suddenly, there was a turmoil. During this period, housing prices also continued to retreat. In Beijing, Shanghai, and Hangzhou, the housing prices have dropped by 15% to 30%, but even so, there are very few people buying houses, and intermediary companies have begun to close their doors. The wave of checkouts and discontinuation of supply began to emerge continuously. Tan Shahen frowned every day. Without sales, the already tight working capital became even tighter. She had to stop the projects under construction in various places one by one. If she wanted to complete this year's sales tasks, it seemed that it's a fantasy. Economic crisis, a word they had only seen in textbooks before, is now being played out to them in reality, scene by scene. Thank you Tianying 1978, Wang Lu, and Tai Zongshang for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone.